you love. It's time to give you what you love. I'ma give you what you love. Give you what you love.
Well, good afternoon. You are listening to The Source. Ah, Lord, I just got the best news ever. My son just texted me to say, my youngest son, that he got his first dose of vaccine. Awesomeness. All right, so you are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. So listen, we have a lot to talk about today. There's some things I want to discuss with you, and I know Johnny Doc been indicted again. I know there is some more uprisings, the threat of more uprisings at the Capitol. I am going to discuss those things, but the first thing I have to talk about is this. Let me just see if I can find him. I'm trying to find a story. Let me see if I can find it now. See, this is because, hold on, law enforcement. All right, so let me try this first, and then I'll see if I can find the other story for you. This morning, I got a phone call that a friend of mine who was not taking COVID-19 seriously is now severely ill and in the hospital. And as frustrated as I am, there's a part of me that understands there are people who still believe that, this can't harm them. It's much ado about nothing. They're going to go about and live their life anyway, on and on and on and on. And so, I want to read this story to you because Cody Anderson died from COVID. Mumia Abul Jamal is now stricken with COVID. And this story I saw this morning, the longtime Philadelphia police officer and minister dies after a battle with COVID-19. Dan Cuellar did this piece, right? He says, a 24-year veteran of the Philadelphia Police Department and community minister has died after a battle with COVID-19. Family members say that Officer Aaron Tokley went to the hospital on February 11th after contracting the virus. He died at the age of 47 yesterday, right? There are so many lives he touched. There are so many people he brought to Jesus, said his wife Octavia, hours after he passed away. Aaron worked in the 12th district. He was also a minister at Calvary Baptist Church in West Philadelphia and a mentor to many. When Aaron went to the hospital, he promised his wife he'd come back home. I'm going to stay in here a couple of days and then I'll be home for your birthday, recalled his wife. I said, you better be. But like so many other innocent souls stricken with the dreaded disease, he never made it. His final message to me, his wife said, is that I'm going to keep fighting until I come home, and I just didn't realize it was going to be his heavenly home, said Octavia. In what would now seem to be a prophetic sermon before his death, Aaron recently said, I don't care where you're sending me, Lord. I'm going to go because I know what you have for me is greater than I have for myself. Eric was no stranger to the Action News family. On November 2019, we had the pleasure of spending Thanksgiving at his home. And so I want to bring to life to you, and I keep sharing these stories, and I'm not sharing them to make you crazy. I'm sharing them so that you can always stay aware. Even when you get your vaccine, even if you choose not to get a vaccine, please stay aware. This virus is absolutely no joke. And so talking about vaccines here, let me see if I can, this piece, oh no, not this one. Let me just see. I have so many things open up for you to read to you today. It's just interesting. This came in, what are we, March 4th, right? So March 3rd, yesterday morning, this was written by, and I just want to make sure, because I always like to give these people their credit for writing their pieces, Pat Loeb. from Philadelphia KYW News Radio. Philadelphia officials are urging younger, healthy people not to try to butt in line for a COVID-19 vaccine ahead of higher priority recipients. With the vaccine supply dwarfed by demand, Philadelphia, like every place else, adopted a careful plan for administering vaccines to people prioritized by risk. Right now, the priority group is people over age 75 or with certain underlying health conditions or public-facing essential workers. Good afternoon, everyone on Facebook. I see you all. Good afternoon. People seeking a vaccine are encouraged to register on the city's website, and then they are sent a link to make an appointment. And that's where the careful plan gets blown to bits. The CDC recommended that states and cities use software called PrepMod for scheduling appointments. They soon found that the links from PrepMod got passed on like grandma's china, allowing people to make appointments before their turn. If you got a link from a friend, please don't try to make an appointment. Please don't jump the line, Health Commissioner Tom Farley said Tuesday. It became really obvious at the soft opening of FEMA's mass clinic in Philadelphia when hundreds of people who weren't even eligible for the vaccine yet showed up. Some got in and some were turned away. Mayor Jim Kenney says while the city awaits a promised technical fix, it needs cooperation. You're either going to be an honest person or you're not, he said. The city can't legislate honesty or unselfishness. What the Sisters of Mercy taught me in grade school is to examine your conscience and to understand that people who are jumping the line on are old and sick and may die because of it. Another loophole is at clinics run by small providers at venues such as churches or apartment buildings. The host is asked to alert those who are eligible to come and get the vaccine, but others slip through. The health department says it is up to the provider to make sure they vaccinate only eligible people. At the FEMA clinic, that would be the United States Marine Corps. I have no sympathy for anyone who gets shown the door by the Marines in the next few weeks, said Kenney. So here we go. Don't start to jump the line, because I'm telling you, the Marine Corps is there. And so you may slip through or you may not, and I get it, right? Only folks with underlying conditions and front-facing workers and people over the age of 75 can get this vaccine right now. I get it. We all are struggling with this to make sure we all want our family to get it. Trust me, I still have plenty of family members that have not had access to this vaccine, and it's a worry for all of us. So let me just make sure that Michael isn't sending me anything of anyone calling me. I just want to get that out the way. Nothing from him yet. Okay. All right. So let's come back to local politics, shall we? Wait, let me quickly say this to you. Today and tomorrow, COVID-19 vaccination, second shots only, at Christian Stronghold Church, the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., 4701 Lancaster Avenue in Philadelphia. That's today, March 4th, and Friday, March 5th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The next set of first-time people who can get a shot would be the Leocora Center, Saturday, March 6th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Once they update the website to let us know where they're doing COVID testing, I will let you know. A gentleman called in by the name of Alton a couple of days ago, and I went looking in search of where can we find vaccinations for people who are bedridden and at home. And so I'm still working on that, Alton. I've not forgotten you. I have been asking the question. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. So now let's go back to local politics, shall we? Philly labor leader Johnny Dock was indicted again, this time for threatening a contractor. Here's Michael. Oh, we early today. Hi, Maurice. Good afternoon, Maurice.
Hey, you talking about Johnny Dock?
Yes, I'm just about to read the story. What you got for me?
No, don't even read it.
Why?
Because nothing's going to happen to the man. The man's been doing it since '93, man. That's not news. What news is murder and mayhem in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That's what the news is. We keep reading these stories like that we reading out of a National Enquirer. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hosts on these shows that think their mute button is their best friend because they can't have a civil conversation. They got the mute.
Okay, all right. What happened? Okay.
No, I'm not going to say it. That was all I got to say.
No, I'm asking you what happened. You all right?
What happened is I'm trying to See, when I talk on this radio, I do research. I just don't get out of here and be blowing stuff out my back end. I actually know what I'm talking about. And when I hear them on there putting drama in this stuff, keep talking about the resurrection at Capitol Hill, that's white folks' business. I don't want to hear nothing about that nonsense, because if it was Black Lives Matter that was coming up to the Capitol building, they would have soldiers out there mowing them down. They wouldn't stop a thing they was doing. They'd be like, look, they want to come up here, we got something for them. But when it's white folks, oh, we got to cancel. We got to vote on another day. So I don't want to hear all that nonsense. Our hosts, our so-called hosts that supposed to have our best interests, they always want to give us the white side of things. I'm so sick of it. You know, city council is a joke. I know you watched it today. All they did was...
Oh, I actually did not watch today.
Well, let me tell you something. You look at it, all they did was slap each other in the butt all day long. If you really want to address an issue at City Hall, they don't have a structure for it. If I want to go to City Hall Council, call them and address a certain council person about a problem or a situation that I have, they don't have, it's not registered for you to be able to do that. If you don't answer those bill numbers, they don't want to hear nothing you got to say. That's how it's set up. So when we got hosts on here telling us we need to sign up the call, they're wasting their time because you won't be able to. Plus, we only had like 2 or 3 people that actually called, and they didn't talk about nothing but their own personal issues. They didn't talk about no problems with the city, about why Miss Stanford got people standing out in the cold waiting for COVID, seniors freezing to death. They're probably going to die from standing outside instead of getting the virus medicine. I'm so sick of how this city doesn't have a plan. A plan. These are black folks that's in city council. This is not no white folks. They're supposed to be looking after our interests, and we got to sit around and take whatever they give us and accept them for who they are, and who they are losers. We have before COVID we had 26% unemployment. Right now it's probably about 47, but nobody's saying anything. Black folks don't have jobs or a future or education. That's why they're killing each other. It ain't got nothing to do with guns. If it wasn't guns, it'd be a sharp stick. I'm so tired of all these excuses, and you're the only show that allows a person like me to express myself. Whether you like it or not, at least I can express my opinion.
Because you know, Mother don't always agree with you, but I disagree respectfully.
I don't want you to, because if you agree with, I don't want. If I had a crew, I don't want a bunch of yes men. I want somebody to tell me, hey man, you got to think that over. And guess what? Maybe we come up with a better solution. I don't want to be right all the time, but when I see these jokers on here that call themselves hosts, pretending to have our interests at hand, it's a shame. I love this station. Nobody loves this station more than me. I talk to the owner all the time, and she knows how I feel, but I can't help but express myself about the nonsense. Some of the weak callers, all they want to do is kiss host butts all the time, don't want to ask them no questions. It makes me sick, man. Please, people, this is supposed to be black. We're supposed to be family. We're supposed to be able to tell the truth, and nobody wants to tell the truth, and I think I said enough today.
Goodbye. Bye, Maurice. Goodbye. All right, Lord Jesus. I think Maurice actually let me say goodbye before he hung up this time. We're making progress. Oh, my Lord, Michael. Before each break, Michael, before each break. All right, so Prince, are you there?
Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
Lord, y'all came out the gate early today. Can Mother take a deep breath?
So you have 14 Democratic city council people, and none of them came against David O. When David O, when the boy who David O accused of stabbing him in the back, that he never seen stab him in the back, the boy who lost 10 months of his life incarcerated, his apartment and his job, you had none of them African Americans come to his defense to even give him restitution so he can start over again when he was found not guilty for doing something that David O said he did. And so when you got that situation right there, and then you got a city council person who came on yesterday saying that driving without a registration should be a minor offense. And this is the kind of the direct ignorance that these folks suffer with, that they get in city council through politics and don't have a clue on how things work. And so it's a criminal citation to, if you don't clean the snow off your car and your snow falls off and cause an accident, it's a criminal citation to drive without a registration or a driver's license. that means that they are able to take your vehicle. It's a criminal citation going up a one-way street, which Terrell Parker did, and then she got belligerent with the cop, but got her locked up. And so
let me ask you this, Prince. Tell me why you are hot on Sherelle Parker's trail. For the last several calls that we've had, you have been on her tail feathers. Tell me why.
I am disappointed with the mere fact that they think that the law only applies to the people who they think are less than them. The law applies to everybody. She wouldn't have went to jail if that wasn't true. And the mere fact that you appoint her to the Delaware River Port Authority Board as a reward, she shouldn't be on the board, period. And we're going to do everything so that doesn't happen. You cannot keep rewarding these people. And Isaiah, the council person, to come up with this stupid bill that he's going to propose without knowing the criminal code when it comes to traffic and driving, because he can articulate on somebody's show that's his friend, that is mere ridiculous. First of all, it's governed by the state. So city, for him to bring it up, it's not going to have any, and if he take it to committee, it's a state issue, it's not a city issue, and it's not going to get passed in any kind of way. And I'm fed up with, and then here's another issue. Everybody's encouraging us to go and get the shot and to go and do things for African-American people, but clearly they're not supporting us as African-Americans. Yes. And the pastor you had on the show, the pastor who comes on Tuesday, how is it we have all these pastors in the city and we have 444,000 African-Americans in the city? And out of that number, there's a bunch of Democrats, and none of these pastors could find any African-American male or female qualified enough to endorse to be a judge.
Okay.
That's a fundamental problem I have. That's just ridiculous. It speaks volume to how they treat us. And you're turning the city into haves and have-nots. And I'm telling you, the have-nots are going to win. Okay. Because they're tired of being had. And my last point is, I heard you Wednesday, and I usually don't hear you on Wednesdays. You surprised me. I was like, wait a minute, is that Andrea?
I was invited by the Black Women's Leadership Council to have a conversation with them about the what's going on in the city, and so I joined them yesterday. All they did was rob me up, child. Rob me all the way up.
Right, but see, we don't call that show, and we hardly listen to that show, because Miss Joanne used to be part of the Wilson Good administration. And she had gotten, rewards and contracts and all that stuff. If that's your mayor that's in office, they're going to make sure that, you bid on things and you're able to receive them. But she didn't stand up and defend us when he blew up Osage Street. And so we want nothing to do with Miss Joanne in any kind of way. And so a lot of people won't come out their face and say that. They'll just bite their tongue. But we're never going to support any initiative that woman does in this city right here. And us as young people, us as young entrepreneurs in this city right here, we're going to make a difference, because we're really tired of being railroaded by the same people at the table that are begging for crumbs while this city is falling apart and dilapidating up under us. So we're not doing it. So when we heard you yesterday, we were surprised, like, wait a minute. And so we're going to put our money where our mouth is during these elections, and we're going to make sure that we make a difference. Because we're not going to have a Democratic fiasco that continue to run roughshod over us. And I thank you for this time. That might be my soapbox, but I'm going to get off and listen to somebody else.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to address some of this stuff in a little bit, but let me take a quick break. You are listening to The Source, and I know Lindsay Gardner's on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Tragedies are commonplace. All kinds of diseases, people are slipping away. The economy's down, people can't get enough pay. As for me, all I can say is thank you, Lord, for all you've done
It's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That with me live this weekend, or catch the show wherever you listen to podcasts. This week, I'm talking to Samantha Fox, founder of Mother's Finest Urban Farms, and Lauren Ash, wellness expert and founder of Black Girl in Ohm. More Than That is brought to you by Kroger. Visit Kroger.com/ZHZW for more on their commitment to creating communities free of hunger and waste. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Nature is the best teacher. What do you think nature has taught you? What is one of the biggest takeaways from Mother Nature that you've implemented in your life?
It's just really a humbling lifestyle. You know, it's really just to have the ultimate respect for Mother Nature.
The practice of writing and reflecting on your own life story, not only is it a powerful way to just kind of unwind at the end of the day, get everything out, but it can also start to beautifully influence your dream.
This work started off as a personal journey, and once I started getting into it, I really said, this is something that I really need to help other Black families, Black women, just us as a whole, reconnect to the soil in a way that is not a traumatic experience.
You know, one of my spiritual practices in terms of honoring the ancestors is literally preparing a meal that they enjoyed and putting a little bit of that out on their altar as a, gesture of gratitude and appreciation.
Planting a seed is such a revolutionary act. It's not a small thing. It's all very huge. And me showing it in more of a beautiful way, in my own way, has been able to just awaken people all over the world, because they're like, wow, I really didn't know I could do this. So it's something I do with my family, and I'm happy to share.
You've been having like a chronic disease your whole life. That is not you, and that is not a part of your identity, and you deserve to be held so that you can step into complete optimal well-being. Like, that's your birthright.
Okay, Her's new fire potato chips and cheese curls, they are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Her's Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew. Taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Her's.
Did you know you can use LIHEAP to pay your PICO bill? Last year, PICO customers received almost $17 million in free LIHEAP support. This year, take advantage. This deal is first come, first served. Apply now. Call 800-34-HELP-4.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I am now getting ready to interview someone I would love to talk to, and I saw what she was doing. And to the callers that have called in, Maurice and Prince, and I know Ken, you're holding on. Just hold on for me, please. I got to get this interview in and over, and then I can talk to you, right? Don't hang up on Mother. Lindsay Gardner, author of Why We Cook. She will join the conversation with more than 100 women restaurateurs, activists, food writers, professional chefs, and home cooks, featuring essays, profiles, recipes, and more. Why We Cook, Women on Food, Identity and Connection, is curated and illustrated by author and artist Lindsay Gardner, whose visual storytelling gifts bring nuance and insight into their words and their work, revealing the power of food to nourish, uplift, inspire, curiosity, and affect change. Good afternoon, Ms. Gardner. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. So nice to be here.
Oh, thank you for your patience. I know you have a hard stop at 1:35, so I wanted to get it out, with you. Tell me about this book. How did it come about, and how and are these all women of color, or are they just all women?
It is all women, and a number of women of color.
Mm-hmm.
It really started in my own kitchen. I'm an artist.
Really?
But as I became a mom and I realized I was spending more and more time in the kitchen, I started having more and different and complex questions about the relationship of cooking and food in my life. And so I kind of turned those questions into this project and took it to my studio.
Okay. So tell me, what were you cooking that had you curious about the relationship between food and us. And let me tell you why I'm asking you. I am a woman of a certain age. I eat well. I'm juicing my stuff. I don't eat past a certain time. And I swear to you, every time I smell food, I feel like I'm gaining weight, right? And so as we got older, Lindsay, we have to adjust what we're eating, right? The kinds of things, the things that we could eat in our 20s that even when we thought were good are things we can't eat now. So what intrigued you while you were in the kitchen that led to this?
That's a really interesting question. You know, a big part of my childhood and what my mom taught me about when I was young was nutrition, actually. And her sort of take on food is and was then what food can give to us and how it fuels us. And it's a question I've thought about a lot in the making of this book, because obviously food fuels us in so many different ways, just practically, but also in all of the other ways. You know, in community, emotionally, it ties us to our heritage, to our memories. It connects us with other people. And I was thinking about all of that when I was asking these questions. And I have two young daughters. They're 8 and 5. And I was giving a lot of thought to what I'm teaching to them and what traditions I'm handing down to them, as well as how much they know about where their food comes from and the people that work so hard to be able to grow that food or allow us to shop for it in a grocery store.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about Christina Martinez, who was a chef that immigrated from Mexico and brings her Philadelphia community together through food while using her platform to champion immigrants' rights. And Leah, you know, the Soul Fire Farm. Tell me about those people, you know, and their part in your book.
Absolutely. Yeah, both two incredibly inspiring women at the heart of such important work that revolves around social justice and, in Leah's case, also environmentalism and connection to the land. Christina, who is in Philadelphia, she had a pretty harrowing immigration story. And what I loved about talking with her and interviewing her was her deep connection to the process that she's involved in and the craftsmanship of that process. She talked to me about her homemade tortillas and described that process to me. And as an artist, I found that to be so fascinating. The detail and multiple steps that are involved in making this beautiful food that she shares. They make 11,000 tortillas in a single weekend at one of her restaurants.
Wow.
And Leah Penniman is a Black Creole educator, farmer, author, and food justice activist. She helped co-found Soul Fire Farm, which is in upstate New York. And their whole mission is to help end racism in the food system. So that, I think they work on that in a bunch of different ways, through workshops and education and also youth programs. Leah walked me through for her contribution to the book. She just basically described a jam-packed day at the farm and what all the many different roles that she plays, and what a day looks like for her, which was really amazing to hear her describe that.
Well, how can people get this book? Where can they find it?
Sure. Yeah, you can find out more about the book at whywecookbook.com. or follow me on Instagram, and that is Lindsay Gardner Art. At Lindsay Gardner Art, and that's Lindsay with an A.
Lindsay Gardner Art. I'd like to have you back on when you have a little bit more time to talk to me. I am a huge foodie and a writer, right? And so I would love to weave some more about the stories of the different profiles that you did here. I know you have a hard stop. So tell us one more time, whywecookbook.com?
Correct.
And at Lindsay Gardner on Instagram?
At Lindsay Gardner Art.
At Lindsay Gardner Art. Okay, on Instagram. Okay, and the book is $24.95. Are they on sale yet, or they just went on sale?
The official release date was Tuesday, so they're out there.
Okay, all right. So you all go, please go find this book, whilewecookbook.com, and follow Lindsay at Lindsay Gardner Art on Instagram. Lindsay, it was wonderful talking to you. Come back again and let us know some more of these stories. I like to pull the stories together with the food, right, and how they inspire people in the kitchen, especially during COVID when we were all home trying to figure it out. Amazon sold more yeast than a little bit. Everybody was trying to bake bread who had never baked bread before, right? And so I'd love for you to come back and have another conversation with me around this. And good luck with the book, okay?
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome. All right, bye-bye. All right, my brain is full. Let me get to Ken. Ken, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, we're here. How are you doing?
How are you? I am good. What can I do for you, sir?
Oh, ma'am, we got rid of Mr. Trump. It sounds like somebody's got a phone on in here.
Oh, I don't know.
However, hey, look, it was necessary. Everybody, you need to go out and you need to get this COVID vaccine. I don't care how you do it. You can go to 311, call them, tell them your birth date, tell them the type of illnesses that you've been dealing with. I got on the list. And I think everybody out there needs to take this vaccine. There's a reason for it. Okay, if we got like 13% of the population of the United States, 13, 500,000, actually 510,000 people have died as about, I think it was 2 Fridays ago.
Yep.
1 out of 5, that's 20%. 1 out of 5 look like you and me.
Yep.
Something's wrong. And part of it is how they're distributing the vaccine, who's jumping in line. And also, there are a bunch of people out here who, unfortunately, about 6%, maybe 3% of the women, I think it's a lot less women, but about 6% of the African-American men really were into Trump. And Trump was lying to them. I know I've seen videos on this, 3 ministers, Christians, who basically said that, and they did this, you didn't need to take the vaccine. All you had to do was just sit around. God would make sure that you got through it. Well, something else is going on. Somebody's out there doing something. A woman asked on one show, what did they do with all those bodies inside of the box? The ones that were frozen and so forth.
Right.
Yeah, well, those folk were buried in mass graves in New York City, the ones that were in New York City. A lot of people didn't come from their family members. A lot of people didn't have family members. A lot of folk were homeless. So they buried them. Mass graves. It was interesting. You can find videos on this also up on YouTube. So I'm going to go, but I'm going to say this again. If you don't have that vaccine, look me up, and I'll get you into somewhere. I'll tell you how to do it. For right now,
so let me ask you this: Did you call 311 when you went for your thing?
Ma'am, I was on 4 different lists. Yesterday, I got my vaccine at a church. It wasn't through 311.
Okay.
I was on 4 different lists.
I'm asking that question because we've been calling 311 and 311 is telling people not, this is not where you call, so I need people to have clear access to the vaccine, clear access to to registering and getting this. And I don't know if you heard me talking about the fact that there was an article written by the mayor, not by the mayor, by KYW, saying that the mayor and the health commissioner, people are bumping into lines. Some of them got in, others didn't, kind of thing. Like,
I
this
think
whole thing has been crazy.
I could give you my phone number. I can give it to you off air if you want, but I could give it on air. I mean, it's an open phone number. Just call me. I'll get you somebody who will get you the vaccines.
I am already vaccinated, sir. My ultimate goal is to make sure. But I want other people to call, right? But give it to Michael, and then if you want to, share it, that's fine. Okay.
Excellent. Let's everybody get this vaccine because it's important. And Mike, hey, you and I are going to have a lot of fun time with these people calling me.
Yeah. All right, sir. You have a good one, okay?
You too. And stay well. Stay healthy.
Yes, sir.
Stay alive.
Yes, sir. I promise you I will try. All right.
You
Talk
too.
to you soon. All right. Bye
You
bye.
too.
Speaking of staying alive, it's so funny that he said that. Some weeks ago, I got an email from the National Cares Mentoring Movement through Susan Taylor and a group, and we were told that there were some organizations that wanted to partner with the National Cares Mentoring Movement to give out supplies, right? And so it says here, COVID-19 is disproportionately killing those who are among the most vulnerable in the nation. Black families living in poverty, marginalized and living in centuries-long economic and social isolation with reduced access to health care. And so what they ended up doing, these companies, and I can't give you the names of the companies quite yet until I get full disclosure from them, pulled together 100,000 pieces of K95, N95 masks, gloves, and the sanitizers. And because of we live in Philadelphia and a large market, I got the phone call to find out if I could find folks who needed this supply. So I put a thing out on Facebook, and the Philadelphia Fund got some. The supplies are heading to them this week. The Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium got some, and I got an ask from the Philadelphia Inquirer. And so I have a little bit more that I have access to give out, and I'm talking thousands of pieces. Now, I'm not talking about 10 or 20. So if you're someone who lives in a community that could actually use this stuff and you'd like 50 or 100, let me know. Email me, please, at alsanders@wordradio.com so that I can help you. This was a blessing, and I am super stoked because these are great masks. These are not the flim-flam masks, the regular 3-ply ones. These are the KN95, and they're literally shipped to you from Amazon. So we once we get the name and the information from you, we send it off to the folks, and Amazon, they'll reach out to you with the shipping number, and Amazon will get them to you. Okay? I believe it's Amazon. But there's a shipping number that comes to you that says that it's getting there. And so when we have access to these kinds of resources, it is incumbent upon us to really help, right? And see what we can do. I heard Prince, I heard Maurice. You know, there's a lot going on in this city, and we try to talk about as much of it as possible, but we also have to acknowledge what's happening at the federal level. And so when I come back from the break, I want to talk about something, and I'm going to tell you what it is, because Congresswoman Madeline Dean was on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. She was the first one that came here on The Source to tell us about it, that they had passed it in Congress last year, they pulled it together, and it was sitting in the Senate for months on end. They passed it again yesterday. And so, you know, this time we're hoping that the Senate will be able to pass it, because it's a police reform bill that bans chokeholds and eliminates qualified immunity for law enforcement. The people who are consistently in trouble, they want to eliminate that, right? The immunity that law enforcement has. So it's going to have a fight at the federal level, and it's going to impact us here at the local level. All right. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Ain't no need of worrying what the night is gonna bring. Soon be all over in the morning. Ain't no need to worry what the night is gonna bring. Soon be all over in the morning. There's a fear of nightfall when darkness comes and covers all the day. Sometimes we feel pain, but there are things that we can change. Just pray. Ain't no need to worry what the night is gonna bring. Don't you worry about it. It'll be all over in the morning.
Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
My sweet cheeks feeling squeaky clean. When Charmin's rolling behind the scenes. Charmin GP gives me those cheeky clean feels. That ultra strong hype is all for reals. Those TV rolls got me a Charmin clean tooketh. Cheek to cheek feeling oh so shooketh.
Charmin Ultra Strong just cleans better. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
I went to check on Pop today. We put our hands up to the glass as if we were touching. But really, the only touching part was that we both tried to smile.
That's no way to say hello or goodbye. COVID-19 vaccines are here, but until enough of us are vaccinated, we'll all still need to help slow the spread. Keep a 6-foot distance, wear a mask, and avoid indoor social gatherings. Learn more about vaccines and slowing the spread at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Michael, is he willing to talk to me? Michael? I have someone on the line that wanted to know how they could get some supplies. Hold on. Michael is giving me a text message. Lord, I tell you, it's something when your producer is one place and you're in another place. We work really hard together, and most of the times it is very seamless. Sometimes. Okay, put him on for me. Good afternoon.
Yes, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. What can I do for you?
I'm a first-time caller. I was listening to you. I listen to you every day.
Thank you.
I heard you talking about the N95 masks that you have access to. Well, I'm a transportation worker in Philadelphia. It's like 350 to 400 workers at my particular job, depot. And I was telling Mike that we get issued the little blue masks.
Yes.
You know, and we like in the front line every day.
Okay.
People getting on buses, you know, getting off.
Okay.
You know, some people don't want to wear the masks, but we don't have so many people that.
So if we're able to get you like 2,000, is there someone who would be able to accept them?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Email me, please. Mike is going to give you the email address. Email me, and I'll get the information from you, and I will forward it to the partners, and they will send you a tracking number when the stuff is on its way to you. And you have to, when you email me, please let me know how do you want it. Do you want it in batches of 500? Do you want it? How do you want it to come to you, or do you want it all at once? Okay.
Okay.
All right, my brother. Thank you so much for calling in, okay?
Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. Oh, I tell you, our people, and they're very insistent that it needs to be for frontline workers, for black and brown folks. They are not playing with this. So I want to make sure it gets into the hands of the people who will absolutely need it. You know, it's just so much stuff. Okay, so I know some of you are irritated about the whole Johnny Doherty thing, but I want to talk about it, and let me tell you why. This is not the first time I've heard of Johnny Doherty facing something, right? And so here we are again. Jeremy Roebuck from the Philadelphia Inquirer said that, and he's 60, the 60-year-old head of the Local 98 of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, vowed last year to prevent the contractor from getting future electrical work in the city after his nephew Gregory assaulted the man in an argument over his pay. But okay. They're saying that he bribed a Philadelphia city council member and embezzled from his union, was indicted again on Wednesday, this time over accusations that he threatened the union contractor. And so to Maurice's point, someone like a Johnny Doherty who was indicted before is now indicted again. How do we keep getting indicted and we don't see any end result from it? That's the part that I can't wrap my brain around. Can somebody explain that to me, please? Because, you know, again, I've only just moved into this city. I'm learning as much as I can. I literally waited 5 years before I opened up my mouth and said anything. I'm still learning. And the more I learn, the deeper and more interesting it becomes. So can somebody tell me, please, what am I missing? 215-634-8065. All right, so let me I also want to read this to you. WHYY wrote a piece by Taylor Allen this morning. It came out how a Philadelphia woman is building her business on a $10 house she won in a lottery. Thank you, Joseph, for sending this to me. Raquel Howard, 44, and born and raised in Philadelphia, knew she wanted to make a career in development. She'd gotten her feet wet with renting out a duplex before, but she's never undergone a complete redevelopment project. This year, that will change. I've been the only African-American woman in the room in so many parts of my life, she said. I have to go to a lot of spaces where people don't look like me. That on its own is unique because the real development industry is an expensive one, which is why there are fewer Black developers. However, she is up for the challenge because she's had a similar experience owning her own heating and air conditioning business. She said it's all about being prepared and confident. Next week, I am going to have Joanna Jane on, who tried to buy pieces of property here in Philadelphia and ended up going to Baltimore. And the city council there gave her a whole block, and she's building off of that block now and helping the people there. So I really want to encourage, congratulations to the young lady, Raquel, but I want to continue to uplift and edify and open up the doors and show other people what can be done if they decide to work together. And we also know people who banded and put their monies together to buy pieces of property, because obviously they're not getting it one by one here in the city. So it's about cooperative economics, right? But you have to do with people that you can trust. George, how are you?
I'm great today. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
I'm calling again in reference to my friend Mumia.
Okay.
But I'm a graduate of a school in Philadelphia called Benjamin Franklin.
Yes, sir.
We wanted to name the school Malcolm X.
Mm-hmm.
And we had protest after protest after protest.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, in 1970, we got our first Black principal.
Mm-hmm.
We had a sit-in one day. The principal refused to talk to us,
mm-hmm.
and he called in Frank Rizzo's boys.
Mm-hmm.
We cried. We could not believe
mm-hmm.
that of all the protests that we had been involved in, and we had a white principal,
mm-hmm.
he always talked to us.
Mm-hmm.
Then the moment that we had an African-American principal, his
mm-hmm.
name was Leon Bass.
Mm-hmm.
We had another name for him.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't believe that a Black man was calling the police on us just because we were protesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes me to what happened when Wilson Wood
mm-hmm.
was mayor. What he did to the MOVE community
mm-hmm.
also carried over to Mumia.
Mm-hmm.
Mumia was only in jail because he was given the news accurately, like you do. He gives out information accurately,
mm-hmm.
and he doesn't water it down.
Mm-hmm.
So he became the scourge of the police
mm-hmm.
as well as the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why that awful day, when the good police officer Faulkner was murdered,
mm-hmm.
Mumia happened to be there, but he was not the person who was responsible for the murder.
So, Mr. George, I literally have 4 minutes. So let me ask you this, because I want to move this story along so that folks can get to the meat of what your ask is. What are you asking folks for in reference to Mumia today, sir?
That some of the adults who always want to cut the children
mm-hmm.
and members in the community to become snitches,
mm-hmm.
some of the adults in the city, clergy members and police officers
mm-hmm.
need to come honest and tell the truth.
Okay.
The man is sick. He's in the hospital. It's a possibility that he can die.
Yes.
In the hospital. He doesn't deserve that. He gave us his best on the air.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to give him something back.
Mm-hmm.
We've responded to him in a very kind fashion.
Mm-hmm.
We never protested citywide for him.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do something for him And Wilson Good and those city council members that voted to name that street after him should never be voted on again. They all need to be voted out of office.
Okay, thank you, sir. I don't even, I so love talking to you. I don't want you to feel like I don't, but I literally have to go because I have other guests that are looking at me, waiting for me to come on now. And so what you're asking for is that the adults who know the truth, in your estimation, should come forth and speak up so that Mumia can get out of prison and not die there. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Absolutely.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. I do know I got an email that he tested positive for COVID and that he was sick and in the hospital. I have a lot of questions about this particular case. I've seen people talking about it. I was right there when they were renaming the street after Mayor Good. I was standing up out there watching the protest on one end and watching the city people. See, folks, I've been very quiet, just paying attention what's going on and showing up into certain spaces. So I saw all of that was going on, and you have to wonder. And then I am having conversations with people who are letting me know certain things, you know, around why things are happening the way they are in this city. And it is fascinating to learn. And this is why I've said this to folks, and I'm going to say it again. Christopher Flood, the drummer Norris, has always said this: if you want to be a true journalist in the city or in any urban setting, you have to really do it with guts and with courage, because otherwise we won't get what we need to hear from the people here. And if you're going to do this, you need to have a network that far surpasses where you are reporting the news. And that was something that I did years in advance. So, you know, if folks, I don't need to ask for anything in this city, don't want anything from this city, not asking for anything from this city, but, you know, understanding that you have to create the network and the people that will protect you from a national level, an international level, and at a statewide and local level. So you can't, there's a lot of people who don't think that way, and they allow themselves to get caught up, and then they get quiet because they can't report the news because somebody's got something at their neck. Like, come on, man. There's got to be more courage in reporting what's going on in the city. Thank you so much for calling, sir. I will talk to you soon again, okay?
Have a great day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
All right. Ooh, yeah. Well, oh yeah. Here we go, y'all. Sing a little message out to those of y'all who feel like you're struggling. Yeah. It's a simple song. Yeah. Yesterday, a man stared to me, said, how can you smile when your world is crumbling down? I said, here's my secret. When I wanna cry, I take a look around and I see that I'm getting by, and I hold on. Hold on. Change is coming. Change is coming. Hold on. Hold on. Don't you worry.
Hey, WURD family, Reverend Leroy with a boss good recommendation for Clark Roofing. I found them to be a solid business, honest, dependable, fast, and clean workers. Mr. Clark stands by his work. Call him at 215-365-7663.
Call Clark Roofing and ask for a second-generation master roofer, Calvin Clark. Clark Roofing professionally installs a variety of roofing systems for your home or businesses. Call Clark Roofing at 215-365-7663 or visit their website
at clarkroofingpa.com.
I'm Anthony McLaughlin. Been denied insurance? Call 215-782-8574. Life insurance, age 0 to 85, no examination needed. Homeowners insurance, any home, any condition, same-day coverage. 215-782-8574. Auto insurance, we can have you covered in 15 minutes. Business insurance, call 24 hours a day, 215-782-8574. I'm Anthony McLaughlin. When you need insurance, I can help.
WURD Radio celebrates Women's History Month with the 2021 Level Up Contest. Join us as we embark on a 3-city contest that will highlight Black women-owned businesses who are making a difference in their communities. You can nominate yourself or your favorite Black woman-owned business and enter to win a marketing campaign valued at $5,000. Level Up is a joint production of WURD Radio in Philadelphia, WVON in Chicago, and KJLH in Los Angeles. These 3 Black-owned stations are joining forces to host a historic, interactive, and multimedia contest spotlighting Black women-owned businesses in Philly, Chicago, and Los Angeles. The deadline for submissions is March 15th. Philadelphia finalists will be featured in a special 2-hour live on-air pitch party on March 31st, where the Philadelphia winner will be selected. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Level Up banner for more information or to nominate yourself or a Black woman-owned business you love. The 2021 Level Up contest is sponsored by Comcast, Bank of America, PECO, Keystone First, Thomas Jefferson University, and Jefferson Health.
Hi, this is John.
Hi, this is Juanita, owners of JD's Auto Body and Painting. We're located at 6300 Wayne Avenue, right there at the intersection of Wayne and Washington Lane.
We really like to thank all you WURD listeners for the support that you've given our business, and we really hope to see you in the future.
JD, tell them about our products and services we have.
We have a new state-of-the-art paint shop along with our body shop and detail shop. We can help you with the dents and scratches from the winter season.
Come to JD's Auto Body and Painting. Come on out and check us out. We're still honoring that WURD 10% discount. Give us a call, 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949.
Thanks again for supporting our business. We really appreciate you.
See you at JD's Auto Body and Painting.
In celebration of women, Michelle Obama.
If we want to give all of our children a foundation for their dreams, then we must work like never before.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Philadelphia. Independent Black media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Right now, we're getting ready to do our livelihood segment, a piece that we do every Thursday at 2 p.m. with Deborah Keys Wright. And she always brings a phenomenal guest. And Lord, with Women's History Month, when I saw who the guest was today, I said, well, Black Jesus. All right now. So, Deborah Keys Wright is the founder of National Board Governance and Education Equity Consultant for the Right to Keys Consulting LLC. Deborah uses her highly sought after skills to provide customized, well-developed leadership skills through training for boards and superintendent teams, delivers effective board governance best practices, and creates thought-provoking, laser-focused board retreats that addresses board conflict and culture, educational equity versus equality in the public school setting, and facilitates conversations about the racial inequities in education. Dr. Nardos E. King is the president-elect of the National Alliance of Black School Educators. The National Alliance of Black School Educators is the nation's premier nonprofit organization devoted to furthering the academic success for the nation's children, particularly children of African descent. NABSE boasts an outreach to a distinguished group of preeminent educators, including teachers, administrators, superintendents, as well as corporate and institutional members. Founded in 1970, NABSE is dedicated to improving both the educational experiences and accomplishments of African American youth through the development and use of instructional and motivational methods that increase levels of inspiration, attendance, and overall achievement. Dr. King, I'm not going to read your entire bio because I need to get to the nitty and the gritty here, because this is going to be. Did Deborah warn you, ma'am?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right now. Okay. So today the topic is yes, teachers are valuable in our schools, our communities, and our nation, uniting as we reopen school buildings across the country. Good afternoon to the both of you.
Good afternoon.
And now today I have on my Tina Turner wig, so you know. It's been a day. It's been a day. To be Black in this country is a metaphysical condition I have quite yet to figure out. It is something. It is something. So congratulations, first of all, Ms. President-elect.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So how long is your tenure, and what does that mean for you and the educators that you're about to work with for the next
year? So I've been serving as President-elect for the last 2 years. This is my last year, yes, and I take the helm in November of 2021.
And so you stay president for 3 years? Is that how that works?
I'll stay president for 2 years after this run, yes.
I love the idea that they make you president-elect for a certain amount of years so that you can get your feet wet, so you can learn all the protocols. Because too often we give people these lofty positions, they get there and it takes them a year just to even figure it. By the time they start to figure out it's time to go, right?
Exactly. It's been a pleasure. And especially when you have an awesome president to follow, right? You learn a lot in this role.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So tell people about. Well, let me back up, because once you and I get started, Deborah will not get 2 words in.
No, it is okay, Andrea. I want to jump into this conversation. I'll jump in when I need to, but I needed you two to connect.
Ooh, listen, I saw her beautiful face. It said connected. You know, I love my sisters, and it's Women's History Month, and so let's just jump into it, shall we?
Yes.
Explain NASBE to the average listener around, you know, what does that mean for them and their child in school right now?
Right. So we're a national organization that serves teachers, administrators, superintendents, parents, and all stakeholder groups across the country. And our goal is to make sure that we are pushing public policy so that it can hit the ground level in all school districts around the country, particularly children that impact children of all children, but particularly children of color.
Color, right.
Yes, yes.
And so they've been around since 1970.
Yes.
Knowing what I know in public education, they seem to be a powerful group. How have they worked in trying to get more teachers of color in front of our students? Because it is sorely lacking right now.
Yeah, and it's been lacking and it continues to lack, and particularly in this pandemic, we're gonna have some work to do, right? So we have affiliates all across the country, and an affiliate is in districts at the state level and at the local level all across the country. And you know, we do outreach to HBCUs. We do out in partnership. We have a higher education committee that is responsible for engaging with teachers of color to ensure that our students have people who look like them in the classroom.
And do you have training and protocols for those teachers who are working with students in the classroom? I'm asking that question specifically because I have met far too many teachers. I'm sure Deborah has told you that I was a school board member for 8 years. And so in that role, I have met teachers, not just in that school district of color, but other teachers who would say, I don't want anybody to ask me to work with the Black children. I'm going to be harder on them because I don't want to be seen as being overly fair and kind. I see it a lot. And then I see teachers who stand up in the gap of color who are doing everything they can, and they are worn down to the lowest common denominator. What services do you have there at that national organization to help help and support both sides, right? To let the teacher who is going to be so hard on the Black student because they don't want to be seen as showing favoritism, or the teacher who's doing everything to help the Black student and is being ground to dust because, you know.
Right. So we have a national conference every year that offers the best PD available, particularly PD that's focused on teaching children of color. And we have Black and white and Hispanic and every other culture that attends our conferences, especially those who are in front of Black children every day, looking for the best PD that's available. And we have experts from all around the country who come to perform that PD. So, and that's at the national level. At the local level, each state has affiliates that practice PD and offer PD services for teachers in their state. Texas has a huge alliance, TAPSI, that offers PD year-round for their teachers in their states, and we are growing that every day. So yes, we do have opportunities for teachers to come and engage with us. During this pandemic, we have shifted to, like everybody else, a virtual platform, which has been able to help us reach more people year round. So we had series all for the past year around best practices in engaging with our children in the classroom.
So,
and not just our children, not, if I could just say this, not just our children, engaging with parents, engaging with school board members, and engaging with higher ed folks, every stakeholder in the that's out there. NAPSI is interested in engaging them because we know it's important for us to come together as a collective community so that we give our kids the best opportunity to have a great education.
Okay, and so PD means professional development.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that's education.
Folks know.
Acronyms.
Yes, acronyms. I mean, it's hard for us sometimes because we know what it is, but I try to, let the average listener. So that's professional development that's happening for the educators. So Deborah, it's so interesting. I'm looking in the chat and someone wrote in, Joseph, that you tend to favor school board members. It's so funny. I don't think folks realize that your ultimate goal is to make sure that children get what they need. And so in doing that, you are holding school board associations to task, right? You're telling them what their roles and responsibilities are. And we have seen it all, from the ridiculous to the sublime, as it applies to school districts, right? We have school superintendents and top-notch educators doing the best that they can. And then we have school superintendents who are thrown into the job, given the responsibility, and need a NAPSI, right? To give them money to move forward, especially in a school that is underperforming. It is difficult to leverage yourself out of the mire and the muck of what's happening in those buildings if you're not getting the kind of supports that you need. So
absolutely. And as you know, Andrea, it is so important. And yes, I do favor school board members because someone needs to. School board members are not credentialized. There are minimal requirements to be a school board member, but you are governing. You are ensuring that a district is running properly. So absolutely, there are important levels. Everyone has to work together, but if the governing team is not operating in an effective and efficient way, number one, you will not keep a good superintendent. The board, everything will continue to turn over, and when the leadership is not functioning well, it does trickle down. And so ensuring that all of the parts are running smoothly, are oiled, and so that gets down to hiring the best education expert to run the district, who will then hire the right principals and teachers. So absolutely, everyone has to work together. And NAPSI, I've been supporting NAPSI for over 20 years, and it's one of the best organizations, and the conferences, it's just the networking, of course, is priceless. You will talk to people who are going through things that you think is only unique to your district, and then, learning that it's not, and they can kind of help you. Like, you don't want to go down that road because of what I experienced. And then just to see people of color all there, educated, just doing the work is just priceless. And so to have school board members there, the governing, a governance section of it, I've had the opportunity to actually facilitate training in that space to get more and more school board members there, because they need to understand the inner workings of the district, because they're not the boots on the ground. And so they need to understand how not to get in the way of the superintendent doing the best job that they possibly can in a very tough situation. And so that's why Dr. King, Narda's, her position is so important, getting ready to be the president of NAPSI. And this work just continues, and it touches everyone who will engage with students, which is so important.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into, how do you said we close the buildings, not schools. Let's talk about what we're dealing with now, the reopening of schools. Philadelphia has finally decided that they were going to open in batches, right? The teachers said they wanted to be vaccinated. Folks were having issues. The parents wanted their children back in school. You all know this is happening nationwide. What advice do you have now for these school districts around reopening, and what are the best practices that you've had to date?
So, I'm glad you said that, because I work for a large district in Virginia, and we are just rolling back this week. This is the first week that we've had our secondary kids in school. It's been exciting for them. I think it's most important first, before we even talk about reopening our buildings, because school never closed. On March 3rd, we were all thrown into this pandemic, and school districts around the country had to come together and figure out how we're going to continue to educate our children, and we did that. Right? So people say schools are closed, they're closed. No, they're just happening on a different platform. Now, as we begin to open up our buildings, because we know that that's what's good for kids, right? We want to make sure that the social emotional learning of our kids is happening every day. We need to see them as much as we possibly can, but we have to do that in a safe environment. Everybody has to feel safe. If you throw teachers back into a classroom and tell them, because we want you back in, it is time to go back in, without doing the work of making them feel safe, like getting them vaccinated, making sure that you have protocols in place to keep everybody protected, it's not going to be a good learning environment for kids. So one, all stakeholders need to work together to make this happen. It's not an us against them type mentality. We need to make sure that school board members, community members, teacher unions, and administrators are all coming together to figure out how we can get our kids in a safe manner. Because of the CDC guidelines, it is very difficult to get kids in 5 days a week at 100%. So you've got to figure out, looking at those guidelines, what's best for your district and how you can do that in a safe manner. But when you fight every day in the media and people pick each other apart, it's never going to be right for kids. And our kids have to be at the center of all the decisions that we make. And we have to remember that. No educator does not want their kids back in their classroom. Educators want their kids back in their classroom in a safe environment for the students and the staff that work in that building every day. And I think the best practice is those districts that's figured out how to do that.
So it runs from the ridiculous to the sublime. Young people ages kindergarten all the way through 12th grade have been struggling. So what we have noticed in the suburban environment is that they have had K through 6, so the elementary level went back months ago, right? In the urban environments, because the school districts are much larger, they're having a harder time trying to negotiate and navigate to make sure everyone is safe. In some suburban environments, they are actually had the teachers back in the classroom, but the students at home, right? And then there are places like Texas who said, well, everybody, no more masks, you know, show the heck up to class. We just nothing to see here. Like at that national level, at that 3,000-foot level, how do you manage from the smallest issue to something like Texas and Georgia? I had a teacher, I was on Clubhouse, a teacher came on and she had COVID. She was actively in COVID, could hardly breathe, and said she still had to work. As long as she was not in the hospital, she had to work. So what recourse do families have, teachers, educators have, depending on the state that they're living in? You know, like all of that is such a conundrum for people to manage through. So what are you guys doing at the national level to kind of filter down to the educators at the local levels and state levels around how they can best manage in the traumatic time that we're in?
Right. Well, you know, NAPSI members across the country, we have many superintendents that are part of our organization, and many of them are examples of how to do it and how to do it right and safely. You know, the governors of each state are putting in priorities around what they want in their school districts, and I'm grateful that our governor in Virginia was a physician. So I feel like Virginia, we've gotten it right? We've done it slow, and there are people who are upset about it and parents that are upset because they want their kids back in school 5 days a week. But he has, you know, put policies in place and then left it up to the local systems to make their decisions around, you know, reopening in a safe manner. And I think that that's the best policy, because superintendents and school boards can work together to figure it out for their districts. It's kind of hard to do it at the national level when you have to take in play that the government is making decisions as well, right? Texas is opening fully up. We're still having under a mask mandate, and I hope we stay under that way until the majority of people are vaccinated, because if that's not the case, then we're going to have to continue to figure out how we're educating kids and keeping people safe. Because, you know, if the governor of Virginia said you don't have to wear a mask anymore, then teachers are going to feel unsafe. Even vaccinated, they're going to feel unsafe. And remember, teachers have people that they're going home to that were not prioritized around the vaccine. So it's hard to say at a national level. I think it's really up to school boards and superintendents in each district to figure out, with the parameters that are given by the CDC and their national and local government, to figure it out for their kids. And I think we've been able to do that.
Deborah, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, that's spot on. And that's the conversations I have with board members, working collaboratively with the educators who are in contact with the teachers. Because if you say open up, what if the teachers say, well, no, I'm not coming in there? So you have students in there and no one educating them.
Right, and
then
that's
you're scrambling
already, right? Isn't it?
Yes, it's happening in some places where they're having to hire, not called substitute teachers, they're calling them something else, but they're getting different people coming in because the teachers are like, no, I am not coming in. So so you need to work together. That's what it sounds like. You know, everyone's trying to do the best they can in a silo. But what about how impactful we will be if we all come to the table and say, now, if you do extremely well in the area that you're responsible for, and here the children are going to benefit this. So I don't know why we're having a problem in this country. It's been a year since the doors were shut, and we are still building the plane as we're flying it, because there's no silver bullet. No one prepared for COVID. You didn't budget for COVID. I mean, it's hitting you in so many different areas, but it is truly a life or death decision that the superintendent and the board members and educators have to make. And no one wants that on their conscience if something happens to a child or even your staff. You know, we're all concerned about everyone's well-being. So it's not easy. It's not easy.
If I may interject in this part. So at the end of this, because there is going to be an end, we have to make sure that there are still teachers and people that want to come into our profession to teach our children. So if we continue in the public to mistreat teachers, mistreat superintendents, mistreat principals, right? Then who's going to take their places when these folks either leave or retire from the profession? And I hear that from young people all the time. We have, talk to college students and the colleges of ed to make sure that we have people still coming behind us, particularly teachers of color. Why would you want to come into a profession where you're beat down every day? I tell parents all the time, and I was a parent with 2 kids in school. I get it. It's hard to be homeschooling your kids every day. But do you really want an adversarial relationship with the people who are responsible for your kids every day? No, we find a way to work together with them so that we can solve the issues of giving the best experience for our kid in the middle of this. Nobody planned this. Nobody's ever parented in a pandemic. Nobody's ever taught in a pandemic. And nobody's ever had to lead a district during a pandemic. So all of us need to give each other grace to come together and figure it out together. Because if you're over here, you're over here, the kid is in the middle being pulled both ways, and it's not helpful for their learning experience.
When we come back from this next break, I want to talk about why schools should not be a political topic. Can't wait. Hold on one second, please. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Silken dream take flight as the darkness gives way to the dawn. You survived, now your moment has arrived. Now your dream has finally been born. Black butterfly, what the struggle brings. Black butterfly, set the sky on fire. Rise up even higher, so the aegis winds of time can catch your wings.
Attention WURD audience, do you know that you can get help with your PICO energy bill? PICO is here to help you with financial help through various assistance programs, including the PICO CAP program, which provides a monthly credit for eligible low-income customers based on the customer's total household gross income and energy usage. If you are experiencing financial hardship, you may qualify for the PICO CAP program.
And PICO Cares is the customer assistance and referral evaluation service designed to assist special needs, low-income customers who have a temporary personal or financial hardship that prevents the payment of your PICO energy bill. If you have a special needs child or adult in your care, your household may qualify for the CARES program.
Call 1-800-774-7040 today to see if you qualify due to an existing situation or a change in circumstances within your household. Call 1-800-774-7040 today for more information on the PICO CAP or PICO Cares program. PICO, powering our communities.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us for our weekly livelihood segment, I have Dr. Nardos King and Deborah Keys Wright on. Wow. Dr. Nardos is the president-elect of NASB. Let me just say it again. And National Association of School Black Educators.
National Alliance of Black Schools.
Okay. National Alliance. I didn't want to close my screen to that. National Alliance. Okay. All right. And so we're having a riveting conversation about reopening schools. What does that look like for young people across the country and at the local levels? And so now we're going to talk about why schools should not be a political process. And I just read something that, let me see. Wait, there's a couple of things. So Joseph Simmons wrote, pay teachers more money, but hold them to a much higher standard of education. I have found that teachers, depending on where they're teaching, gets from like Lower Marion, they make over $100,000, right, at their highest level. And then in other school districts, they can barely break $90,000 after being there for 30 years, right? I really think teachers should be should be paid way more. Their salaries should reflect what they're doing with students. And I think when that happens and they feel that we appreciate them to a certain level because they're the ones churning out our future leaders, right? Then that they would be willing to be held to a higher standard. Right now we hear teachers saying things like, I'm getting paid and I'm still coming out of my pocket to buy chalk and to buy this and to buy that. I'm feeding my students. I'm bringing, just all sorts of, it just feels like education in this country is for the chosen few. Good education in this country is for the chosen few. That's what it feels like for me. And if you don't have the wherewithal as a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle to advocate tirelessly, trust me, I know. I was tired by the time my children left the K-12 system, right? It can be done. But so many families don't have the wherewithal to advocate tirelessly, right? And they have 2 and 3 and 4 jobs. But talk to us. So there's that. And then someone else asked, how do the two ladies view the educational system and its function as it applies here in the Philadelphia specifically? Do either one of you know much about? All right, now see. Anybody know anything much about Philadelphia?
Dr. King, you are an educator. I'm not, so I am not going to say anything about Philly.
I grew up in South Jersey, and my father and husband both went through the Philadelphia school system, right? Obviously at different times. My husband went to Central High School, and I think my father went to Ben Franklin. I think I heard the guy talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that my father graduated from that school, obviously a long time ago. So any big inner city urban school district is going to have the good and the bad. Right. And but I do know that Dr. Haidt is an outstanding superintendent and has that kind of reputation around the country. But regardless of who's running the district is going to come with struggles, right? Because we don't fund our districts like we should. And then, sometimes when the funding is there, it's not put in the areas that need it the most, right? And I know that Dr. Haidt believes in equity, right? But we have to make sure that the parents and people surrounding him are supporting funding goes to those who need it, right? Because sometimes we want equal funding instead of funding where it's needed more.
Supposed to go.
So I can't specifically,
and I get it.
speak
You are
to
the
Philly.
president-elect. I get it. I absolutely get it. So let me speak to it for you. You know. I don't have no issues speaking to it.
I'm going to drink some water.
Drink your water. Drink your water, Deborah. I am going to speak to it. So let me tell you what I see here. I mean, I've been in education now for almost 30 years, so I get it. I have said this over and again. I said Dr. Haidt, when he came into the Philadelphia School District, was surrounded by people in his cabinet that had been there long before he got there, right? And he listened to the people, and some of those people, not all of them, because many of them are in his cabinet doing the best that they can with what they have. But he has a few folks around him that are not doing their work. And when the rubber meets the road and they tell, he goes out and he says, buildings have been inspected and we have X, Y, and Z, because he sits with his cabinet and he says, how are we coming along with the buildings? Because he can't be everywhere, right? 200,000 children in the building. This is what you're talking about, Dr. King. 200,000 children in a school district. And so he has to depend on his cabinet. And they tell him, yes, we have everything. He goes before the school board. He gives this great speech, about what he's done. And then, boom. People put up a camera and said, well, it's not what they're pretending it to be. And so the level of trust isn't there. And right now in Philadelphia, Dr. Haidt is being roasted like a chestnut on an open fire, right? And so this is why we have to talk about why it is important to look at all sides of this.
Yes.
All sides of this,
And Andreas, the accountability, everyone, I talked about this last week. He can't do it by himself. The buck stops with him. However, he has to have the right people around him, and everyone must be held accountable.
And he has to be willing to hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
Instead of everybody just jump all over him, right? So
Absolutely.
That's all a part of the leadership as it applies to the students in this school district. I've met Dr. Haidt. I like him. I just, I'm looking and I'm going, there's stuff that when you lose the trust of the community, it's hard to bounce back from that. And so he's been here now for a few years, and the politics, right? There's politics that he has to also dance around. Let's just be very clear about that. See, I'm talking about things folks don't ever want to discuss. They think Dr. Haidt comes in and he runs everything. You'd be shocked to know that there's some things he has to dance around because there's politics everywhere, right? And so tell me why now school districts should not be considered political. It should not be a political space.
Right. So when I said that, Andrea, what I mean is, the day-to-day runnings of a school district should be made by the superintendent, his cabinet on down, right? It trickles down. But sometimes when you put politics in it, because as administrators, we're told, well, that's not going to be politically correct, or that's not, I shouldn't have to worry about politics because I didn't run for office. I was hired to do a job, and my job every day is to make sure that my schools are running at maximum capacity to have a positive impact on every single student that comes into the schools that I service, right? And I don't want in this head to say, should I make this decision because I'm going to upset this person or that? I want to make the right decision every time and not worry about my job. And I don't worry about my job, right? Because I feel like if I make the wrong decision and I get held accountable, I'm held accountable. But if I make the right decision and it upsets somebody, I'm not going to worry about getting fired from a job because I made the right decision for kids. And that's what I mean about politics. We give a lot of play to politics because there's a lot of people who have their own agendas in school districts, right? And then we spend our time worried about those agendas instead of every child getting an equitable education in our school systems. And that's what I mean by that.
Yes, and then I agree with you. And then when you see, like this lady wrote, that 190 plus schools have an F rating, F. They came out with a report that says only 20% of third graders can read. Like you can't blame the family members for just being disgusted and busted and because look, I read an article the other day of a woman who thought her son was graduating from high school and he had a 0.13 GPA and after 4 years, and they just kept pushing him through. I interviewed another gentleman who said when he graduated how many years ago, he was reading at a 6th grade level. So come on, like, who do we hold responsible for the well-being of these young people that we keep talking about, right? Even if we don't, yes, we know we need money. The buildings need to be updated. We know we need to do all those things, but we're still losing large cadres of children, and they look like us, Dr. King and Deborah. They look like us, right? And so when we look in our communities and see the blight and the plight and the fact that there's so much crime, because when you are sick and tired and you don't see a way out, and you're looking at everybody around you on Instagram buying Timberland boots and living in fancy, because you know the internet is a weird place, right? People think that everybody's living la vida.
That's reality.
Yes, and it's not, right? The majority of us are working hard every day trying to figure out what we're going to do next and putting our little coins together so we can live a regular life. But we have had the opportunity to be educated, to be emotionally intelligent, to be able to string 3 words together. We have leadership, not just in this city, but everywhere. If you go and you look at our leaders in our council that are making these unilateral decisions and getting upset about things, instead of sitting down and saying, let me research that. If I do this, how would that work out? You know, that's what I'm talking about. And it filters down into these buildings with these young people, and no more can we. You know, we don't want it to be political, but we bring in superintendents and we say to them, especially in the urban settings, well, you're here, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. And the average person, the average family member does not realize that a superintendent is hearing this, right? And so they're going, well, they just better just do what they're supposed to do. And then you get in Philadelphia, it's an appointed board, appointed by the mayor. So it's not even a locally elected board. So he gets what's given to him depending on what shows up, right? And so if people have all sorts of opinions versus getting a vote out and saying, I vote for this one or I vote for that one, we have people sitting on the board that may not know anything about school systems. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
As we don't
it's so much. And you know, Andrea, there is a sense of urgency, and it has been for a while. And just think about when you have a medical issue, when you go flatline and they say clear and they jolt you, that's what needs to take place continuously now going forward. We need to have leaders who are not afraid to lose their job because they are going to pull the rug from. You need to dismantle and disrupt. You need to be an agitator, and don't be afraid you're going to lose your job because you're doing it for what's best for children, which all educators, school board members, all politicians who are, say they're in the education field, they took an oath of honor, saying that they will do what's in the best interest of children. Call them on it then. Call them on it. We have to, again, make sure we look at who we're putting in these positions. And once they're there, prove to me that you're going to do what you said you're going to do. And then be constantly on it from every direction, not just a small, what they'll call a small interest group, because they'll deal with you. But if you have people coming from them from every angle, they will get it. But we are in a sense of urgency. You know, the research says that kids are about 20% of the population, but they are 100% of our future. So this is education malpractice if we don't do this.
And the village is burning down. The village is absolutely burning down. Not only that, there's research that shows that our children, right, they're in their 30s and their 20s, late 20s and 30s, they're not having children like they normally. They're like, 33, 34, like, listen, I'm not bringing any children into this world. So in about 20, 30 years, we're going to see the fallout from that too, right? Because if you don't take care of the children that are here now and nurture them and get them to a place where they can say, you know what, I want to go off to trade school. I want to go off to college. I want to become a doctor, and I want to come back to the city who loved on me. Instead, there's a mass exodus. You know, I need to get out of this place because it is both my children left Philadelphia. Both of them said goodbye, never look back. They got college educated in this state, and they went, nope, not staying here. Do you know how that breaks my heart as a mother? Right? I want to see my children more often, but the opportunities are not open and afforded to them. And so they go to other states around the country, make good money, and start to build families there. And those other states get you, and you can see the states that are getting the fruit of what we didn't put into our children. Does that make sense? So
I think it's important when you say this, it resonates with me, and it makes me sad at the same time, right? Because it's our kids who are getting the brunt of that, you know. But we've been saying the same thing for a long time, right? This is not new. What are we going to do about it, right? As a community, what are we going to do about it, right? If they're not educating our kids, if our kids are not reading at grade level by 3rd grade, what are we going to do about it then? Right? We're not going to wait till they get to high school and figure out by 9th grade that they're not reading on grade level. What are we going to do about it as a collective community? And that's the part where they can get critical. That's the part where you can say, we're going to put people in office that ensures that the school system focuses that every kid, because the gift of literacy can get our kids through anything, right?
Yes.
But we have to make sure as a community that that we know that that's important, right? Not buying them the latest Air Jordans that are running around. And I'm not saying that that's all we do that, because I didn't do that for my kids. But what I'm saying is the internet makes us believe that that's what's important.
Exactly.
Right? We got to be throwing books at our kids every day and say, sit down and read this book, because the gift of literacy can help them get through any struggle they have in education. But as a collective community, through our churches, our community centers, and every group and organization that nurtures us as a people, we need to make that number one important for us, so that our kids can then have opportunities that other kids are getting every day. You know, when our kids are not put in advanced academic classes, they always say they can't handle it. They can't handle it, one, because they didn't know about the opportunity, because there are other groups who are making sure that their kids get that opportunity because they're how to read and write when they're 2 and 3 years old. We have to start doing that as well. And
but we do. So let me add this to you, because we do, right? There are many of us that started our children in preschool, made sure they were ready to go to school. Let me just put that right out there, right? And then they get to school, and the gatekeepers, aka some educators who don't believe that they should be able to take the honors courses.
The oppressor.
Exactly. Right. They're oppressing our children. So it's not just the parents who aren't reading and not understanding their literacy because they're working so hard. It's the ones that are doing it. And there's so many parents that are doing it. Their grandparents, I watch them reading to their children when they're 2 and 3 years old. And they get to kindergarten, and all of a sudden they're hearing things like, Bobby is disruptive all the time, I'm calling the police. Come on now.
But then that's up to us again, right? We have to educate ourselves around this school system, right? And what opportunities our kids have. And then we have to share that knowledge with our friends, our neighbors, and everybody else. We keep it to ourselves so just our kids get that, right? I educate my friends all the time about what they should be asking their principals, asking their teachers in their school to make sure that they see their kids, right? But I have a responsibility as a community member to make sure that I'm giving my knowledge to everybody I come across. And when you have platforms like this, right? This is when we can share the knowledge that the school system might not be doing for all.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And making parents and family and guardians aware of what's happening. I have one last question, then I have to go. Oh my gosh, it's 2:40.
It goes fast.
I know. Please ask both of our guests how they feel about education being a constitutional amendment. Ain't it already? It's education.
It's a civil right,
It's a civil right, but it's not it's the state constitution.
On paper.
It's in the state constitutions, but it should be a federal.
Are you telling me it's not federal law? This country. Y'all gonna make me snatch off my wig.
And that's the problem, though.
If
it's not.
We'd see a difference, right?
We would see a difference.
Yeah.
So state by state is doing what they're given more rights. Yes.
What they believe, right? And what we teach our kids, right? So in one state, you might get a chance to learn about Black history, and in another state, you will never learn about Black history.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Wow. But what are we going to do about it?
Right, because it keeps us in this vicious cycle, you know, being hostage to the caste system.
Hold on 1 second. I'm not letting you go. I'm just going to have to take a quick break because we have to keep this conversation going, because now we're in the caste system, and now y'all done went all the way down the rabbit hole, and we're going to have to deal. Okay? Hold on. I'll be right back. You are listening to The Source. 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Tune in Sunday, March 7th, 2021 from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. as WURD rebroadcasts the Pew Forum on Race and Debt with Amadi Braxton. That's Sunday, March 7th, 2021 from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
Wayne Avenue Health Food, located at 5007 Wayne Avenue, has been in business for 29 years. Wayne Avenue Health Food is a one-stop shop for all of your quality vitamins, herbs, and information with exceptional, friendly, experienced service. Wayne Avenue Health Food is open 7 days a week and delivers in the Philadelphia area and ships all over the country. For more information, call 267-338-6488.
Need to replace your Social Security card? In most states, you can request one online with a My Social Security account. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can also get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
WURD Radio celebrates Women's History Month with the 2021 Level Up Contest. Join us as we embark on a 3-city contest that will highlight Black women-owned businesses who are making a difference in their communities. You can nominate yourself or your favorite Black woman-owned business and enter to win a marketing campaign valued at $5,000. Level Up is a joint production of WURD Radio in Philadelphia, WVON in Chicago, and KJLH in Los Angeles. These 3 Black-owned stations are joining forces to host a historic, interactive, and multimedia contest spotlighting Black women-owned businesses in Philly, Chicago, and Los Angeles. The deadline for submissions is March 15th. Philadelphia finalists will be featured in a special 2-hour live on-air pitch party on March 31st, where the Philadelphia winner will be selected. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Level Up banner for more information or to nominate yourself or a Black woman-owned business you love. The 2021 Level Up contest is sponsored by Comcast, Bank of America, PICO, Keystone First, Thomas Jefferson University, and Jefferson Health.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining us, let me give you a synopsis of who is on the air with me right now for our weekly livelihood segment. Dr. Nardus E. King is the president-elect of the National Alliance of Black School Educators, and it is the nation's premier nonprofit organization devoted to furthering the academic success for the nation's children, particularly children of African descent. And Deborah Keys Wright is the founder, National Board Governance and Education Equity Consultant for the Right to Keys Consulting, LLC. Every week I have people on to talk about education at the national level, the state level, and the local level. I am incredibly intentional about this segment every single week because I want folks to understand what they're seeing in Philadelphia is a microcosm of what's going on around the country. And when you understand the politics of it, then you realize it's not just 1 or 2 people, but there's a whole cadre in a system of people that have worked hand in hand to make sure that the children, especially the Black and brown children, do not get what they need. And so while this segment should have been over 4 minutes ago, you all said a word that made me say, okay, here we go. So, Cass, the origins of our discontent, written by Isabel Wilkinson. She said this, and I want you both to listen to this passage and tell me your thoughts around it. In the United States, racism and casteism frequently occur at the same time or overlap or figure into the same scenario. Casteism is about positioning and restricting those positions vis-a-vis others. What race and its precursor, racism, do extraordinarily well is to confuse and distract from the underlying structural and more powerful Sith Lord of the caste. Like the cast on a broken arm, like the cast in a play, a caste system holds everyone in a fixed place. And I do believe in the urban school environments and even in the suburban school environments, there's a caste system that has been, I know, Dr. King, I told you, I hope Deborah warned you, I am a straight shooter over here. I listen, I do my research, I ask questions, and I'm putting this down. So for this reason, many people, including those we might see as good and kind people, could be casteist, meaning invested in keeping the hierarchy as it is or content to do nothing to change it, but not racist in the classical sense, not active and openly hateful or this or that group. Actual racists, actual haters would be by definition be casteist, as their hatred demands that those that they perceive as beneath them know and keep their place in the hierarchy. So there are people who will openly say, you know what, y'all Negroes can't learn nothing. I don't even know why you're bothering to put money into the public education system. I think you all should, if we have to put y'all in the pen somewhere and figure it out. And then there are people who are completely educated, degrees from Harvard all the way down, who says things like, well, research has shown, and have the data that says black and brown children just can't seem to compete with their compadres. And we're going to do a little Band-Aid over here and a little Band-Aid over there. And so the caste system is alive and well. I'm sorry, Dr. King. I'm sorry. Marvel I have to literally go there, because when people are talking about what's happening in the educational system, what they fail to really take a deep look at is who does it serve? Right. When they put some people in place, hold people over to there in the position, keep people in spots where they are not doing any work at all. Right? I had one sister that I talked to in Philadelphia recently that said if she ever ran for superintendent of this school district, the first thing she would do was fire the entire cabinet and make sure that they apply for their jobs. And if they could not prove what they had done in the years that they had been there, they wouldn't get the job. Somebody like that would never become superintendent, because it flies in the face of the caste system that is set up in place to say, well, we have certain amount of schools in Philadelphia. There's Central and, the top level schools. If your parents are fighting to get their children in those top level schools, or if you, God forbid, can afford to send them to a Friend Central, a school that's $27,000, $28,000, $29,000 a year, only for the children to go to some of these schools, and the parents are still having the same issues. The caste system is alive and well, no matter how much money you have, no matter how little money you have. And so what are your thoughts around that? Because people are frustrated, and I can't blame them. I cannot blame them. I cannot blame them for being frustrated, because they see what's in front of them, oftentimes can't articulate what's in front of them, and so they target the first or the highest person they see. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So talk to me about the caste. Lord have mercy. Talk to me about your thoughts around the caste system as it applies to education. Not that I didn't give you a whole earful already, because I'm very opinionated.
So the school system that I work for right now is an example of what you just said, right? We have the #1 school in the country, and in the last class, 4 Black students out of a class of 400 were accepted to that school. So, my superintendent made the decision that we were going to change the process of how kids come in. At first, he announced that we were going to do a 100% lottery. All the kids that met the minimal qualifications would go into a lottery system, and people lost their mind, because there are people who believe that their kids work harder than everybody else's kids. And so therefore, they are entitled to people believe it, they say it, they don't apologize for saying it.
Dr. King, not only do they
when you say it, right, they come after you because they believe, since they were little, that they were entitled to something that kids who look like my children are not entitled to.
Dr. King, I literally went through that in the school district where I was at. They showed up with flyers saying, save our white children. They're going to dummy down the system to fit these black children in, right? And so this is why I tell folks all the time, pay attention no matter where you live. And they do. And when they couldn't change the system, you know what they did? They put pressure on the superintendent to change the GPA so that their children would have a higher GPA and have more access to the colleges. We have to talk about it. And then we've seen in the news in recent years how people are paying colleges for SAT scores so that their children who actually didn't can we just talk about it and be about it?
And they look like us.
Hello, right? And so it's the caste system is alive and well. So not only are we being suppressed and oppressed from the K through 12 level, I have had conversations with educators that are not black and brown that have said to me, well, we've tried everything to suppress your children. Next thing we know, you graduate out of our system, you go to college and you become doctors, and you start taking the positions that would be given to us by our uncles and stuff in these different organizations, right? Who is it serving? I want you all to think. Who is it serving to hold such large swaths of children back? Who is it serving to put people in charge that are not, their hands are tied and can't to do the job that they want to do because there's a whole political process that the majority of people can't see? Who does it serve?
Exactly. And you know, Andrea, I don't know why we think that we have graduated from the caste system. We are still living in it. And until we look at and change our mindset and know and admit that these things are still happening around you. I don't care if you are the best friends with someone who doesn't look like you. That mentality, that mental model is still there. And until we are courageous enough to call it out and say we are not tolerating it anymore. And if you don't like this, because this is what this district is going, this is what our culture is going to be, then you can leave. But this is the way we are going to operate in order to educate our children to the best of our ability, because they shouldn't have to pick and choose.
Right.
Should I go to this school? Yeah. Education is free, and it should be free, and it should, because it's free should not mean that it's a generic brand. You know, but if individuals don't take the responsibility to admit that what this society is and that the education system was never created for our children to succeed, the education system is doing exactly what it was created to do. But if we don't take it upon ourselves to make sure that we take care of ours, then why would we expect anyone else to? You know.
But we do. We do.
And it's not acceptable. So they need to be challenged.
I see people crying and frustrated because they want better for their children, and they're turned away. No, they can't do. They're matriculating children who haven't learned anything because they behave in class. There's a problem on so many.
And Andrea, remember how you used to talk about everyone needs to make sure they have an advocate when you would talk about going to the school. We talk about raising the child, the village. What has happened to the village? Where's the village?
The village is there, and they're burning it to the ground, and the village is tired. I would love to come to NASB to do a presentation to your educators, because I'm telling you, I got a lot to say. Thank you. I have a lot to say.
He sure does, as you can tell.
From the very young age, the caste system shows up in schools when we start labeling kids. Imagine your child in the 3rd grade being called advanced from the rest of the time that they're in school. Yep. And then another child is called an Esau student or
average student
or below average, or a poor student or a black student with a connotation, right? And they carry that
mindset
all through the system, right? And they stay in their place because adults have labeled them that way.
Yes. Yep. And even when they're smart enough, oh Lord,
exactly.
When they're smart enough, they're so browbeaten that they're telling themselves that they can't do it. Okay,
brainwashed.
I gotta go.
Yes.
Dr. Nardis King and Deborah Keys, right? I told you all, Deborah, I hope you warn these guests every week that I am a firebrand. It's gonna be all right. Thank you both so much for being here on the show with me. I appreciate the both of you. All right, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Woo, Lord. About to fall out. When I tell you education means the world to me, I understand it is the door. And I'll talk about that when I come back from break, because Michael is about to hurt me. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Isn't it strange how princesses and kings in clown-batted capers in sawdust ring, just while common people
WURD family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
Tune in every Saturday at 4 p.m. for the Did You Know Show with host Bryant Green, right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
Well, the kids are in bed. Time for a little grown-up quiet time.
What do you mean quiet time? It's your birthday. We're about to party.
Haha, funny. It's gonna have to be a you and me party this year. You know we can't have anybody over.
Well, your mom and dad are coming from Florida. Sis will be here from California. Oh, and a couple of old friends from just about everywhere will be showing up. They should all be here about now.
COVID-19 has changed the way we do things, for now. But social distancing doesn't mean you can't be social. COVID-19 doesn't have to keep us apart. Friends and family are finding new ways to be together, especially with how hard it's hitting the Black community. Vaccines are here, but until enough of us are vaccinated, we still have to be down with slowing the spread. Keep a 6-foot distance, wear a mask, and avoid indoor social gatherings. Learn more about vaccines and slowing the spread at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
Undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD. In celebration of women, Nina Simone.
I'll tell you what freedom is to me. No fear. I mean, really, no fear. If I could have that half of my life, no fear. That's the only way I can describe it.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Philadelphia. Independent Black media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. George, are you there? Is George still there? George?
Yes, how you doing?
I'm good. What's up, honey?
Well, you know, your guests, I wish they lived here in Philadelphia so they can really understand how the Philadelphia school system works.
Yeah, I tried to, if you heard me trying to give them a general sense and idea. The one lady is a president-elect, so she's up at the highest level, and she was trying to play, and I get it, you know, not rub it, because she's talking to some of these superintendents around the country, but she clearly can understand that something is going on here. And so I had to delineate what was happening in Philadelphia, because, hey, yo, and it's not just Philly, it's in a lot of these urban settings, but it's something we must talk about.
Let me say this here, is that people who don't understand how it's played here, the first mistake she made, she praised height. And if she know anything,
I knew that was coming.
Well, I'm saying this though, if she know anything about height, she know height is a great speaker. He plays the game well. Height only interested in a paycheck. He ain't here to ruffle nobody's feathers. He's had perfect knee pads since he been here, and he wear the best of chapstick. So, I mean, you know, every time somebody talk about height or praise height, beware of them. You know, just put up, you know, just listen.
Or it could be, George, or it could be, let me say this, or it could be that they have no idea some of the stuff that's going on here. You understand what I'm saying?
No, they don't know what's going on here. Let me explain to you. Philadelphia's job is to keep black and brown kids dumb. It's about contracts. It's about friends and family, jobs. That's all it's been about. And if you don't believe it, get John Brazel on here one day, and he'll tell you how him and Dwight systematically took the school system and the parking authority and a couple other things just because they hated John Street that much. They destroyed the public school system. They didn't care. It was all personal. And people don't like to talk about that. But those two there, at least John Brazel was man enough to say he made a mistake in destroying the Philadelphia school system because they didn't like John Street. I mean, that was that. So, you know, they can dress it up any way they want. But the most dangerous people in this city, Andrea, and you'll find out, is the Northwest politicians. They care nothing about black people at all. And I tell them that every time I see them, I tell them, and they don't say nothing. They keep their mouth shut because you know what? It's a whole lot more that they don't want people to know about.
George, can I just stop you for a second? George,
Yes,
stop you for a second.
yes.
For the first time since Lord knows when, and people on here say, I follow George on this one, Andrea. I have to agree with George. I can't believe it, but it's true. I agree. They're agreeing with you, George. You better take a bow.
Let me tell you this here, Andrea, and they wouldn't think in a million years that I would say this. But you got a group of black people who are out to get you in the worst way. They just haven't figured out how to go to Sarah. They haven't figured out how to go to the new management. But they hate and resent you because of the position you have, that you let people come on here, don't be, and you know, you just let people say what it is, but you let people say what's factual and true. If they say something that's not factual and truth, you'll call it, straighten them, or try to, you know, correct it. Or the next day you correct it. You're a woman enough to correct it. I like you because you don't kiss up and suck up and looking for a job or a contract.
Yeah,
you know,
so George, do me a favor. George, do me a favor. Tell those black people I already know who they are. I'm aware.
I know you know who they are. And I told them, well, you know, don't get caught. You know, when I was in the streets, they be talking about, man, they talking about doing this. You know what I used to always send a message back and say it real soft? Tell them don't mess up. Don't miss. That's all. You know, don't miss. Whatever you do, don't miss. People are aiming at you in the worst way. And it's the main people who smile and grin in your face. They resent you in the most. And I'll be like, dang, for what? All the women do let people say what it is, which y'all should. No one has had the heart to say anything on these airs and let people talk since Mary Meeks. Everybody's looking for something down the line. They thinking that people are going to take care of them, people like them. The same people who dislike you will dislike them. I mean, I don't know what people think you're going to get out of kissing up. Nothing.
So
let me say this here. You know one thing elected officials do? They glad the pandemic. That means they'll tell you that means I ain't got to touch them. I don't have to shake their hand. The same people who paid them $135,000 a year for a part-time job. And let me say this here. Most of them got a second job, okay? They got a part-time job and they got another part-time job of getting almost as much as they get in their salary, which is legal. They're not doing nothing illegal. But if you had any idea how much those council people make, state reps don't like their job. They want to be a council person. Why do you think they're always running down the city issue? They can't even handle the issue. Their favorite word is, well, you know, we can't do nothing because the Republicans control everything. Well, you know what my answer to their question is now? I'm going to start working to get Republicans to replace you, so therefore maybe we'll get something. They never bring anything back. All they do is get up there in their little black group and talk about, well, we should have this and we should have that. And at the end of the day, they still have to go to those other people up there and get what they get. Let me say this here too, Andrea, about the vaccinations and all that there. You notice one part of the city hasn't had a problem with getting vaccinations?
Where?
That's the Northeast.
The Northeast.
Oh, I mean, those white council people, you never hear them talking about anything about they need this, they need that. Let me say this here, and everybody get on Prince for getting on Sherelle. Sherelle worked overtime to get Bobby Heenan out of that spot that he's in. And despite of him being indicted or whatever, you're innocent until proven guilty. But she wanted that spot. And you know what? With Bobby Heenan there, black people had to get something. If it was only a little bit, we got something. But when you put black people in charge, you know what you get? The number before one. It's been proven time after time. But you'll get a couple of these kiss-ups and say, oh, he was talk about, but I talk about facts. I don't sit up there and talk. I don't deal with emotions. I don't deal with how I feel today. I deal with what the hand I'm dealt with. And I see these people come in these white folks' office and the way they dance. I have to tell them, yo, man, come down. I'm here. Jesus, goodness. Give me a break. Please show some type of dignity. They'll laugh. Yeah, right. Give me that.
So,
Give me that.
you know, it's interesting. Let me say this to you and to everyone else that is listening to this radio station, whether you're watching online or you are listening on the radio. WURD is not my forever resting place. right? Long before I got here, I knew exactly where I was going and what I was going to do. So if there are people who want to call Sarah to fuss and complain so that Sarah can pull my plug, Sarah can pull my plug. I have avenues open to do what it is that I need to do. It does not have to be in this city of Philadelphia. Now, while I am here, I will continue to do the best job that I could do, and I will continue to work hard on behalf of the people of this city. And that is what I'm supposed to do as the host of this radio show. So come on. I don't know what else to tell you all.
Sarah, you know what I like, Andrea, about Sarah? Sarah knows how these idiots are because they bit her father's back out. They bit her bike out. You know, they always want some. She knows they're a bunch of parasites, but she deals with them, okay? She listens to that garbage, but you're not going to tell her about decent people. She got some parasites that work for her. You think she don't know what they are? Sarah's not slow by a long shot, okay? She might look like that nice little, sweet little innocent, but it's nothing sweet and innocent about her. She's just as ruthless when it comes to business as anybody else. She's what you call a woman's woman because she's much calmer than I am because she'll sit there and listen to that garbage and walk away. Oh, okay, they had they say, and go in and do what she got to do. But she knows these idiots, these parasites are after you, which only makes you stronger and better, No one has done what you've done since Mary Mason. And most hosts don't like to give her no credit at all. None. They try to erase the legacy, the blueprint. She made the blueprint for everybody to have an easy job. She made the way. Her and Georgie Woods and others, they made the Reggie Bryants and all the rest. That's who did it. Okay? Let me say this here before I go. Leon Bass was the principal. This is the one they were talking about. Was the principal of Ben Franklin High School. Leon Bass put, under his leadership at Ben Franklin High School, you had more successful black men, which Ben Franklin was an all-boys school, successful black men under the time that he was principal than any other school in the city. And he was there with Connie Clayton.
His name is what, Leon Bass?
Yes, Dr. Leon Bass. If this is the same one that people be talking about, he was a great man. He taught black men how to be men. When you came there, you was just getting out of junior high school, which means that you was going to high school, a whole different era and level. He taught you how to be a man. What people's beef with him, I don't know and don't care. All I can say is good things about him. And, if you look at him, you'll see that under his tutelage, if this is the same Leon Bass that they're talking about that was at Ben Franklin High School, you can't. It's nothing but great things you can say about him. Because some of the things that I learned at Ben Franklin High School and hearing Dr. Leon Bass talk to us in the auditorium every other Wednesday, it's still with me. I follow basic principles that he taught us. He said, long after I'm gone, some of this here come to pass that you'll remember. And he was right.
Listen to me. I got a couple of other people on, and I have another guest at 3:20. So I want to thank you for always calling and sharing all the goodies with me, okay?
We're going to put all those parasites in prayer. That's what we're going to do. All those people after you, I have a bunch of seniors that don't do nothing but prayer. They're prayer warriors. And you know what? I'm going to ask them personally to put each one of those he devils and those she devils in prayer. We're going to deal with them. Since they want to come at you, prayer going to come after them. I'm going to see how they like that. Have a good
All right, sir. Take it easy, okay? All right, bye-bye. All right, Cynthia Winfield. How are you, Cynthia?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
Miss Sanders, I got very annoyed with that conversation with George because I listened to your show. What makes George an authority? That's my first question. And secondly, he's a backbiter. I think that his conversation is very negative and toxic. I don't care if he says he has facts. It's not. I think it's inappropriate for him to come on anybody's show, which he goes on everybody's show, and talk about people like he does. I think that's inappropriate. And I'm waiting to talk, and he's taking up all my time. I think something should be done about it. Because why does he think he knows everything? That's my question to him. If he does, why isn't he in the positions that he's talking about? And I'm really upset about that today. He really took it too far for me. And I'm not talking about any particular person. I'm just talking about in general. He needs to stop that. People need to cut him off at a certain point because it's called backbiting where I come from. So I just want to express that because that was very annoying to me. Not
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Not you.
Yes, ma'am.
'Cause he got
Yes,
you a
ma'am.
little hyped up when he was talking.
Well, part of some of what he said was true because I am aware of them. You know, when you speak truth and you call truth to power, there are people who have been very comfortable doing what they've always done, and so they think, you know, they've got to figure out a way. But you know, I'm doing what I am doing and will continue to do what I am doing, whether it's here or somewhere else. But I'm going to keep doing what I do.
He need to come on and talk about it like that. He does it every day. That's my question. Who does he think he is? That's where I'm coming from. And I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I've been listening to this radio show since Reggie Bryant. I just think that he's absurd and inappropriate. And he's a backbiter. And I really feel that needs to change. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right. Oh, you're quite welcome, Madame. Thank you so much. Woo, Lord. Mary, West Philadelphia. Miss Mary, are you there?
I am. How are you? Well, I tell you, George was a good boy today. So, as a matter of fact, some of the things that he was talking about, I wanted to mention.
Okay.
I tried to call in on yesterday when all you ladies were on, but I couldn't get through. Because I wanted to present a question to all three of you. And that question is, isn't Marion Tasco the reason why we have Mayor Kinney? And that and that whole Northwest contingent? Cheryl Parker, Evans, the whole, like I said, the whole Northwest contingent. Isn't that the reason why we have Mayor Kinney? I think a lot of people are forgetting that.
Yes, and for people like me, Miss Mary, who have no idea, again, I'm pretty new, so there's so much that I'm still learning every single day, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people are friends with those folks up there, but I think the report card needs to come out on all these things. I mean, if we're putting report cards out, let's put it out. I mean, we did have one on Evans. Okay, we need the other ones. Because the reason why a lot of things happen in this city is because of that Northwest contingent. And especially,
I keep hearing about this Northwest contingency.
Evans, because Evans does nothing for the rest of the city.
Okay.
And he does represent West Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I'll call you again.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a lot more.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right.
Lord, this city. Lord have mercy. Let me take a quick break, and then I see that my next guest is on, I think so. You are listening to The Source. Well, you know what? Let me, because I have a few minutes. So let me just go here. Michael, tell our guests to mute themselves for me, please, because I can hear them in my microphone. So that's cool. Let me just do this and shut that down and shut that down. Ooh, what did I just do here? Ooh. I think, there we go. All right, so I want to make sure that I read something to you before. And we talked about this, the law enforcement on alert after possible plot by militia groups to storm the Capitol again. This was written by Michael Balsamo from the Associated Press. You know, law enforcement was on high alert today around the Capitol after intelligence uncovered a possible plot by a militia group to storm the iconic building again, 2 months after a mob of Donald Trump supporters smashed through the windows and doors to try to stop Congress from certifying now President Joe Biden's victory. The threat appears to be connected to a far-right conspiracy theory, mainly promoted by supporters of QAnon, that former President Trump will rise again to power on March 4th and that thousands will come to Washington, D.C. to try to remove Democrats from office. March 4th was the original presidential inauguration day until 1933, and it was moved to January 20th. Miss Brenda, let me quickly take you before I go to break. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, Andrea, for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I was just listening to what the previous caller said, and I want to set the record straight that in the Democratic nominee, you had multiple candidates for mayor. One of them was Tony Williams, and also Jim Kelly. I mean, the current mayor. Now, Philadelphians, you did not come out to support your candidate. Now, maybe the people up in the Northwest, they come out to vote. But no, you can't put that on Marion Tesco and others. Philadelphians, if you've got a candidate and you want your candidate to represent you, you must come out so your candidate becomes the Democratic nominee of the Democratic Party. Okay, so no, leadership does not make a person become the nominee of the Democratic Party. Voters do.
Right.
So
because it was Anthony Hardy Williams, Jim Kenney, and Buckovitz, correct?
Well, I can't remember. I know Tony Williams was one of them, and the current mayor. I can't remember. All I know is there were multiple candidates in the Democratic Party, and Philadelphians, and yes, Philadelphians, Black Philadelphians, you don't come out to vote to get behind the candidate that you want to represent the party.
Yeah.
So that is the record straight. I hate it when you try to put it on elected officials or you try to put it on certain sections of the city because they come out to vote. So no, that's the record. If you got a candidate, get behind your candidate, give your candidate some money, and more importantly, vote on the primary so they can represent the party, and then come out in the general. So that is how Jim Kenney is the mayor, because if he had some opposition, you didn't come out behind Tony Williams, and you didn't come out behind the other candidate.
Yes.
So that's what. So please tell it straight on this radio station, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, on that note, she says, tell it straight. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
About my father, about my father. God is my friend, Jesus is my friend. He made this world for us to live in. He made this world and gave us everything. Lord gave us everything, and all He asks of us is we give each other love. Oh yeah. Don't go and talk about my father. Cause God is my friend. Jesus is my friend. He loves us whether or not we know it. And He'll forgive all our sins. Oh yeah. And all He asks of us, oh yeah, is we give each other love. Oh yeah. Love your mother. She bore you. Love your father. Love your sister. It's good to love your brother. Love your brother. Don't go and talk.
Okay, Her's new fire potato chips and cheese curls. They are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But you know, it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Her's Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew. Taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Her's.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Relationships during this pandemic time, when you are living in a house or apartment with family or friends, or even by yourself, the pandemic will make you ask the question, who in the world are these people living here? You see faces bumping into each other, looking in the refrigerator with them eating snacks. Everywhere you look, there are tired faces, online, working, studying, asking questions, needing help, food shopping. Don't forget the toiletries Oh, I need another mask. Rush back home. Did the virus get you? Ooh, wash your hands, 20 seconds. Phew, this pandemic ain't no joke. I need some music. Ray Charles, Georgia on my mind. Get Coasa to do that. Tina Turner, Proud Mary, Lord have mercy. Sing, people, sing.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I have Weada Frazier Collins, who was born September 18th, 1963 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to Joseph and Florence Frazier, Smoking Joe Frazier. She grew up in Lafayette Hills, Pennsylvania, with her parents and 4 siblings. And so, the legacy exists as a 501c3 nonprofit scholarship fund that was created to exemplify the embodiment and humanitarianism of Smoking Joe Frazier. His generosity was evident in many of the acts of kindness extended toward others. We expect to see these positive traits in our applicants. And so WURD is on to talk about, let me see. To talk
Let me know
about,
when you want me to help you out.
Yeah, the media alert for March 8th, right, which marks the 50th anniversary of Fight of the Century. All right, so let's talk about this. The first Ali versus Frazier bout. Well.
Yeah.
Welcome to The Source. How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored, and I want to thank you, my sister, for allowing me to come on with such short notice. I need a couple of things. One, I need a publicist. The other, I could actually use an assistant, but that's okay. God be the glory. And then his time and not my time. And I'm blessed because that Marvin Gaye song, I haven't heard that in a minute. Yeah. And that's some powerful stuff about us loving on each other and us being a blessing to each other. But I'm grateful. Joe Frazier had 11 children. Right now, I have 2 brothers that have met their demise, but that's okay. But we're moving in the direction to continue the legacy of Joe Frazier. March the 8th is coming up on Monday. March the 8th is 50 years from the first Ali Frazier fight. And we are celebrating that in 2 dynamic ways. And I'm a little embarrassed to say that my scholarship program, this nonprofit, has been in existence for 6 years now. And we've given out a great deal of scholarships on the strength of Joe Frazier to at-risk kids in the 5 county areas of Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Philadelphia, and Montgomery County. But because we're celebrating the 50 years, we decided to open it up across the United States. So all the children that are 13 to 19 years of age will be able to apply. But getting back to this whole thing as far as the Ali Frazier and celebrating and actually being a part of what is moving in the right direction to continue the legacy of Joe Frazier. I met a young man in North Philadelphia one time at a block party that had no idea who Joe Frazier is. Not was, but who Joe Frazier is. And there's a lot of young individuals, they might be able to tell you who Mike Tyson is. They might be able to tell you who Muhammad Ali is. They better. Because in spite of it all, my body and my mind, I've got enough room for multiple heroes. Muhammad Ali is a hero of mine. George Foreman is a hero of mine. They don't top daddy, but they still are heroes of mine. Larry Holmes is a hero of mine. And it's just important to keep these individuals' legacy alive, because some of these guys, you can't say that about Ali, but Larry Holmes, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, they came from little of nothing. Muhammad Ali was a privileged child, and not, millionaire or anything, but his family, they really didn't want for a whole lot, okay? And to make a long story short, Joe Frazier came from Beaufort, South Carolina, a guy that didn't have a whole lot, but he had love. And that's what's more important than anything, in the ability to give back. He was the youngest of 9 kids, and his brothers and sisters used to tease him because he would say, I'm going to be the next heavyweight champion of the world. I'm going to be just like Joe Louis, okay? And back then, most of the women they would actually name their kids after the Bible. So there's a Joseph, you know, and then there's a Rebecca, and there's a Thomas, and a Julia, and so forth and so on, a David. And to make a long story short, they used to tease on him because he was a little fat guy. He was a little bulgy. And they used to tease him, but his mother believed in him, just like any other mother should. This is what I'm going to let you do. We're going to get a sack. We're going to put some bricks in it. We're going to put some old rotten potatoes in it. We're going to put some of the moss from the trees in it. And you're going to go out there and you're going to use it as like a heavy bag. And you're going to get it done. So he worked on his craft and did whatever he did. But his brothers and sisters teased him all the time because he was the youngest. He was a mama's boy, you know, and being the youngest, you know, the little baby. After a while, you had 8, 7 kids. The babies, they get away with everything. You know, when we were growing up, mommy wouldn't even let us jump and sit on that furniture with the plastic. You know, but Billy Boy, they named him Billy Boy, not because he had a middle initial, but they named him Billy Boy because of this, I believe it was a hog or car or something, so they named him Billy Boy, but it wasn't because of William, so to speak. And one day, him and some of his friends, and I believe some of my aunts and uncles, they were in Beaufort, South Carolina, and this one guy was picking on them. So my father said, well, I'm going to show him, and he beat him. He almost killed him. Okay, so then when they brought him back home, they're all happy. Mama, look, Billy did this, Billy did that. She said, what? You know, they're getting ready to kill my baby. They're going to come here and pick up my baby for beating up that white boy. That's not going to happen. So what she decided to do was to send her son to New York.
Ah, so that's how he ended up in New York.
So he got to New York because he was such an at-risk child and such a bad A and not listening, you know, because he could do no wrong. But they sent him to New York to be with his brother, Uncle Tom, Thomas. He wasn't listening to him either. So they said, we're going to send you to Philly. So they sent him to Philly to my Aunt Maisie, God rest her soul, who just met her demise in October. She said, listen, you're not going to listen to anybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you down there to the PAL because that's where you're going to end up. You're going to end up with the police in the jail.
Athletic League, yes.
Yeah. So let me send you down there now. You say you want to be a boxer. Let's go there.
What year was that, Miss Fraser Collins?
As
when
far
they
as
sent him to the PAL? No, to the PAL.
In approximately 1963, 62, I believe.
So
because
the police athletic. So hold on one second. The police athletic league has been around for a long time then, because in the communities where I used to live, the police athletic league is what the children. In fact, they're still doing it. They have PAL every Friday night. I didn't realize that they were around for that long. Okay.
Yeah. And then back then they had what they called the Golden Gloves. So he won a lot of those fights in the Golden Gloves. And then Yank Dorm, saw how talented he was. He said, well, you know, this is a young man that I could work with. He's not as tall as some of the other fighters, but he could be a great heavyweight. So my father got into trouble with a hog one time. And back then, when you needed some stitches, your mother, she took a needle and thread and she sewed you up and got some moss from the tree and a little bit of sap, wrapped it up, and then there you go. You broke your arm, it healed itself. So my father got his left hook only because he couldn't extend his arm the way like everyone else could extend their arm, so to speak. So make a long story short, Yank Dorm, God bless his soul, was a great mentor to my father and said we could do something with him. And they knew that the Olympic trials was coming up. And I believe the Olympic trials were in New York. And my father lost against Buster Mathis. Now, Buster Mathis was a big guy, nice and full, okay? But they said, what we're going to do, Joe, is we're still going to let you go. We're still going to let you go to the Olympics, which was in 1964. And I believe that Mr. Mathis got sick or whatever. I'm hearing several stories that he wasn't even trying to fight. So I don't know whether or not he was just a little tardy for the day, tardy for the party, so to speak. But it gave Joe Frazier the opportunity to fight for the United States of America. He came out victorious, winning the gold medal. The first.
Yes.
How old first heavyweight.
How old was he at that point?
Don't get me the line. So let me see here. Let me see. I'm 40. He's born in 42. That was 20.
He was 20
because that was in 64. So he was 20 years old. Now, see, you asked me a question real quick. I had to think about it. Okay, so I'm going to keep that in mind. So thank you. Bless you for that. So we're grateful that he had that opportunity. Understudies are something else. Sometimes you're in the right place. Sometimes you're in the wrong place. But when you're in the right place and God want to bless you, you should, of course, take on that and then do what you need to get done. Believe it or not, during the fight, my dad broke his thumb.
Oh, wow.
So he finished that fight, told nobody, but he had a cash, came back home and all that other good stuff. When he came back at his job, working at the Cross Brothers, which was the meat company, we're going to talk about where good old Sylvester Stallone got that idea from, right?
Oh, so that he got that from, are you saying he got that idea from your father, which was
Yes.
the meat, punching the meat?
Yes, and so many other things, but we'll circle back around that in a minute.
Okay, all right. So we have about 7 minutes. So I just want to make sure
Oh
that
my
we
goodness.
get to your yes.
As
So
the
I have to
whole
get off
7
the air.
minutes, let me tell you something about my daddy. I talk about my daddy all day long and then some, okay? But we are going to celebrate 50 years of the first Ali fight, and what we're trying to do is raise some funds, raise some awareness to tell these kids that they can do it. If a small guy, okay, 5'10", 5'11", can beat Muhammad Ali and knock him on his on the canvas, excuse me, I'm trying to be nice, and knock him on the, I ain't want to say his can, and knock him on his on the canvas, then these kids, they can do anything they put their mind to. Anything. So we're trying to raise $50,000 on the strength of him. There is an unveiling of the new Ali Frazier statue, which is gorgeous. They're going to do that at Johan's gym, and it's all virtual. That doggone COVID, okay? All right, we can't do all the things that we want to do and give all the accolades that we want to give, but we're going to get it done. Okay?
I just lost your camera. Okay,
So,
there.
yeah, because my husband's calling me now when I try to tell him I'm doing stuff, right? You know, and the kids too, they just text it. You didn't get the virus checked yet, Mom? When you gonna get the vaccine? I'm like ignoring all of it.
Oh.
So with that being said, that's
where are you in Frazier's children? Joe Frazier's children. Where are you? You're number one.
I am the best of the best, the cream of the crop, and I keep telling them, okay. Let me tell you something. 6 brothers and sisters, okay. 6 boys, 5 girls. You ready for this? I have 6 brothers. None of them had the same mother.
Wow.
But God be the glory, okay? And I love each and every one of these women as if they were my mom. But my mother and father together had 5 children. Because, see, I don't get it twisted, because individuals really need to know that sometimes these men, they really think they are kings. Because my father thought he was a king. And some days he thought he was a better preacher than he was a fighter. And some days he thought he was a better singer. Yeah. But anyway, we're also unveiling the mural. And the mural is going to be unveiled at 13th and Allegheny. And 13th and Allegheny is,
okay.
Yes. And that is special at 13th and Allegheny because I have relatives that still live on that block.
Okay.
That wasn't home base, but that was the first base for my dad. And we're just grateful. And also the kids will be able to start to apply on the 8th.
Okay, so you already have a $100 donation coming your way. Somebody already texted me about it. So how can they How can they get the money to you?
They will be able just to simply go to the legacyexist.com. Because his legacy, it still exists. And I didn't go and just put Joe Frazier Scholarship. It's just the legacy exists. And they'll be able to see the donation button on there. And God be the glory. I am talking to anybody and everybody because we're in a world of trouble. If we don't start helping out these kids, you know, they're talking about all this funding and stuff. We need to help out the homeless. And I can go on and on and on. But with my father and his accolades and his gift of humanitarian, why he was down there at 2917 4th Street giving back to the kids. He loved the kids. He loved the boys and the girls that would come in and talk to him. So we decided to continue the scholarship. And it's not just for the jocks. We gave out the scholarship to the one young guy that was at the boys club, okay? Boy Scouts. Another one a cheerleader. One was a basketball player. Any child that is 13 to 19 years of age, they could go on and they apply. And then they will be able to, of course, educate themselves on Joe Frazier, state who Joe Frazier was and how he inspired them after they found out who he was. Because like I said, some of these kids don't even know who he is.
Yeah, I
because
like
my
him
father
even
was a silent man. He wasn't anyone was big. Go ahead.
So it's so funny. I just looked at his thing to see when he passed away and realized he's a Capricorn.
Oh, yes. You know, is that you?
The goat. I am.
Oh, well, let me tell you something about that real quick. No, we don't have time. I
got 2 minutes.
I got pregnant. I got a daughter. Birthday January 10th. My father came to the hospital all disgruntled. I said, "What is the matter, Daddy?" "Well, how's the baby doing?" "Baby's fine." "How's your baby?" "We all fine." "Well, what's the problem?" "Couldn't you have waited?" "Waited for
2
what?"
more days.
Couldn't you have waited 2 more days?
Yes.
Today is George's birthday.
Oh.
I said, George who? George Foreman. I said, oh,
No
Lord.
way. Your daughter was born on George Foreman's birthday. That is a funny story.
And yes, and my daughter's 28 years old. And when I met Mr. Foreman after we were at some event, I told him, I said, you know, my father's still mad at me for having that baby on your birthday. He's still, because, you know, my father only lost 4 times against 2 men.
Yes.
Twice to Ali and twice to Foreman. But George Foreman said, I will never, ever forget the gratitude and the opportunity that your father gave me because nobody wanted to fight me. But old big, bad, smoking Joe, he didn't think he could, you know, anybody could beat him, so to speak. Once you get your licks in, you get me, I'm going to come out with mine. But big old George said, So I'm grateful. Yes.
Let me ask you this. What is the biggest lesson you learned from your father? And then we have got to go, like...
When I turned 16 years of age, my father said, listen, we are going to get you a car. We are going to keep the maintenance on it. We're going to keep the insurance on it. But what I'm not going to do, your mother now, you're not putting no gas in it. So you're going to have to get a job.
Yes.
I looked at him, and you know, I'm 5'2", you know, I'm a pretty little thing. You mean tell me now I'm going to have to go work? Yeah. You're going to have to get a job. Well, don't you have enough money to lend me to get some money to put in my car? You know, that's daddy's money. That's daddy and your mother's money. That's our money. You're going to have to get a job. That's the best thing. I've been working since I was 16 years of age. I'm 57 now, and I'm grateful and I'm blessed. I'm working for one of the blues for about, it's now 31 years, a combination between IBC and another company. And I'm just so blessed. And just to be able to pass on the blessings of all the gifts that run in my body as far as Joe Frazier is concerned. He loved Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for the opportunity because you didn't know who I was. I'm like, call me. You know, because I want to get the word out to let everybody know
so
that
the goal here in this city on this show for me is to highlight the regular folks who are doing all the good work. We talk a lot about the problems here, but I'm really about creating the solutions. So wherever the solutions are, if you call me and you're doing amazing things to help underserved, to help young people, to make sure that people who want to get a job can get a job, that you're doing any kind of training, you will be on this show. For me, this is about the people. This show is about the people.
That's right.
So it was my pleasure to have you on. And so the legacyexist.com. Thank you, Weada Frazier Collins. I really appreciate you. And thank you for being on, okay?
Yes, thank you.
And good luck with the unveiling. And again, you have $100 already coming to you. Someone just texted me and said they're sending you $100. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Oh,
All right,
you're
be
quite
blessed,
welcome.
everybody. And
All
remember,
right.
our slogan is, within you, there is a fighter.
Within you, there is a fighter. Yes.
Yes. Whatever your accomplishments are, right?
Yes.
God bless.
All right.
Take
See you
care,
soon.
sweetie.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
That was good. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
You can't see up and Olaniyan Adefume, author of the Book of Questions, needs your help. He is seeking out responses for an updated version of the Book of Questions Series 2. The topics of the book cover issues of religion, race, sex, economics, politics, and health. One example would be, what do you think of the Capitol riot of January 6, 2021? For more information, reach out to him directly at 215-678-3830 or email him at oadefumi@yahoo.com.
The Word Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the Word Radio newsletter.
WURD Radio celebrates Women's History Month with the 2021 Level Up Contest. Join us as we embark on a 3-city contest that will highlight Black women-owned businesses who are making a difference in their communities. You can nominate yourself or your favorite Black woman-owned business and enter to win a marketing campaign valued at $5,000. Level Up is a joint production of WURD Radio in Philadelphia, WVON in Chicago, and KJLH in Los Angeles. These 3 Black-owned stations are joining forces to host a historic, interactive, and multimedia contest spotlighting Black women-owned businesses in Philly, Chicago, and Los Angeles. The deadline for submissions is March 15th. Philadelphia finalists will be featured in a special 2-hour live on-air pitch party on March 31st, where the Philadelphia winner will be selected. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Level Up banner for more information or to nominate yourself or a Black woman-owned business you love. The 2021 Level Up contest is sponsored by Comcast, Bank of America, PECO, Keystone First, Thomas Jefferson University, and Jefferson Health.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I have 4 callers on the line, so let me quickly say this. School of the Week, AB Day School keeps student skills sharp. Just want to make sure that I just give you a little snippet of it. The AB Day School's vision has always been to promote collaboration between staff, parents, and students. Principal Karen White said the approach is even more important now due to the novel coronavirus. And so what they're doing, her art teacher delivered crayons. I've delivered headphones and gift cards. I also make TikTok videos to celebrate students that have exceeded iReady and Lexia goals. It is also a way for me to keep my staff and students entertained and energized. To Principal Karen White, thank you so much. You are showing what is indeed possible in our school district of Philadelphia. We appreciate you. All right, so I'm moving right along. So let me see now. I've got Jacob. Jacob, how are you, sir?
Hey, peace be unto you, Sister Andrea.
Peace to be unto you, sir. How are you?
Yeah, oh, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. You know what prompted me to call is when she said that she was at a block party and the child didn't even know what Joe Frazier was about, you know. Mm-hmm. And some of that's on us because, again, I bet if you would ask that same child, who is Rocky, he could have told you, right? So that's on us, man. We got to lift our own up. And that site was what, legacy.com? Yeah, because I'm going to match that beam that was already given. So I just want to know where to go, you know, to do that.
All right.
You know, so I shall do that. And you keep on doing what you do, as Reverend Joe say, and we got to help one another.
That's right. Thank you so much for calling in,
Thank
sir.
you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Woody, how are you, honey?
Hey, I'm going to keep it moving because I know you only give me a little bit of time.
But you called at the end of the show, Woody.
Listen, you've been running your mouth all day. I just wanted to say that you still remember who loves you, baby. That's all. Just keep that in your mind. That's all I'm trying to tell you. But anyway,
between you and my husband, I don't know which
I'm
one's
just
coming
telling.
first.
At least you know. That's the most important part. But Joe Frazier, I was at the funeral. And it was in January. I mean, it was in November on the 7th. He passed away at 2011.
Yes.
The deep part about that is that when she said Capricorn, well, Ali was Capricorn too.
Yes, isn't that crazy?
So the deep part about it is all these cats are just great men who we forget about. Because, like he was talking about, Brother Jacob, that the children won't know. This is why I'm forced to have to do my barbershop in this whole way, which is a museum. When you walk in, you see Joe Frazier's face in here. All the boys, Ali, all of them, they're in here. And in barbershop talk, fighting and the game of boxing was wonderful because you could end any problem, not shoot somebody, box them out.
Shaking
if
hands.
they're better than you, you know, you guys became friends later. So we need to get something. I want to be able to get a hold of her. That way I can connect with her and let her know how I see things and how I feel can really help out. So I'm not going to stay on here long. I'm going to get off so the others can talk. But just as long as you know.
I'm going to get her information.
Get it for me and phone number. Don't forget
the
about
phone
the old
number.
folks
I know.
like
That's why I
me.
figured you would
So you
want
got to
the
have
phone number.
numbers.
Okay, I'll get the phone number for you.
Very
okay?
good.
All right,
Thank
Woody.
you,
Take
sweetheart.
it easy, man. Bye. All right, Woody said, who loves you, baby? All right, let's see. Friendly Fred, quickly, honey.
Okay, I just want to shout out to the kings and the queens and the princesses and the princesses and stuff, but you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, a peculiar people, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Friendly Fred, thank you so much. You know what? I really enjoy you. Please keep calling me with these little vignettes, okay?
Yeah.
They're short and sweet, and I love them. So
Okay,
thank
you.
so much, okay? All right, my brother.
All
All
right,
right, bye-bye. All right, Viola.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, sis.
Goodness.
You get the last 5 minutes.
I didn't think I was going to make it when I heard you say Woody, because I know Woody he always has a lot to say, but I enjoy what I hear. I just wanted to emphasize that I had the virus the first shot, but yet I got a call. I got a call yesterday from the Delaware Health Department saying that I was in contact with someone that had the virus. Well, it just shut me down. But in the same token, my cutoff, my end of quarantine is today. So therefore, I've been walking around for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, not knowing that I had come in contact with someone.
Oh my
gosh! I just want to emphasize that, and it may have been because of my immune system, because I take everything I can possibly take based on keeping my immune up. But I just want to emphasize with people that because you get the shot, it doesn't mean that you can take the mask down or go out for a minute or talk to someone, because the virus is still there. And we still have to protect a lot of people that are younger than us that won't be able to get the virus. And I have young children and grandchildren and all, so I wouldn't dare want to think that I would pass it on to them based on the fact I come in contact with someone that you don't know you came in contact with.
Absolutely.
And they had to give the person my name, maybe my phone number, but they had to tell that I was one of the people that they were around.
Wow.
So that's kind of crazy. But Joe Frazier, since I got 5 minutes, Joe Frazier lives around the corner from me, because I lived in the 6600 block of 18th Street, and he lived in the 6600 block of Ogon. So whereas when he lived around there, that was when he moved to Lafayette Hill. So I'm kind of, familiar with all that. But like the man said, we have to teach our children what they need to know. The school system is not going to totally teach it. 2 of my children, my 2 older children, went to AB Day, and so did Bishop Roy still go to AB Day when my daughter Dana was there. So I'm familiar, but one of my neighbors said, I had teachers all around me, and my teacher that lived next door to me, Mrs. Duke, she said, stop worrying about what school you put your child in. Be more important to be concerned about the teacher that's in the classroom. And that made a lot of sense. But whereas a drop of a hat, I did hair at home for 14 years, and I would leave a lady in the chair and say, I'll be right back, because I had to go and see about my daughter in a school or something like that. So whereas it's all up to us, too. I don't agree with Dr. Haidt being, done the way he is as far as talking about that he's not doing anything, because there's a lot of things that are in the Philadelphia school system, and I'm a product of the school system,
Yeah.
That was there.
So
way
Viola,
before Dr.
let me hold on one second. I don't mean to cut you off, but someone just wrote something here. Cheryl said that her husband's co-worker had COVID, was tested positive for COVID, and went and got the vaccine and is now paralyzed.
I read that, and she said she was going to call you. Listen, I'm on Facebook, so I'm reading everything.
Right,
like I said,
right.
I can't get nothing done when you're on the radio.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry.
I'm constantly either looking or reading what someone says to give them an answer or whatever. Yeah. And the show is always fantastic. But
thank you.
Whereas that's another thing, because they said that you're not supposed to get the vaccine if you check positive.
That's right,
So
and you carry the antibodies within you. So if you've had the antibodies within you for over a year, like you have to keep getting your antibodies checked to make sure that you're not meshing. I gotta go because it's now 3:50.
I was tested on Monday before I got my shot to make sure that I was negative before I got the shot.
Good. Okay.
It's just so much out there that we need to know. But have a great day. Enjoy the
Thank you, and thank you for being my final caller for today. I appreciate you. All right, bye-bye. Listen, we got to go. Show is over. I can't believe it. We've done it again. Michael, I so appreciate you. Love you for taking my songs at the last second, for going out and, all of it. Just thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you for getting everything to me on time. Brianna, you're amazing. We have a great national guest coming on. I can't even stand it. I'm praying that it happens before March ends. But I'm in contact with that person's communications folk, and we have a couple of great national guests. Oh Lord, just hold on. Just the good stuff is coming. Good stuff is coming. The gentleman that called for the PPE, I'll make sure you get a couple thousand. Just make sure you email me quickly, please, so I can send it off to the folks at the national level so that you can get it. And to the rest of you, thank you for always listening. Thank you for being a part of what we do here. Coming up next is Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.